for the disenfranchised.
It's very important that as a body we take the necessary actions to ensure that local residents are getting construction jobs created by some of these massive city projects. Local hiring is something we all talk about, from Councilmember Wesson and Garcetti's effort to the retrofitting of green buildings to the mayor's efforts to provide a steady pipeline of candidates to the trades. From the faith-based initiative, we're striving to create employment opportunities for those who are normally disenfranchised from those opportunities. So today we're going to take an important step in that direction by authorizing the Community Development Department to commence the Economic Roundtable study. It is important to establish a nexus between unemployment rates and specific areas of the city, to go beyond the anecdotal. So for that information we know is true and accurate, that this study will create the basis and the foundation to make the findings to require local hiring on city construction jobs.
Councilmember Bernard Park says having jobs helps people deal with the core issues of literacy, health, and poverty.
We should be investing in our residents, and it's the best, as I always tell people, the best crime prevention we can do, and I capture Father Boyle's statement, the best way to stop a bullet is a job. It is very, very true, in that we can find a way that our investment creates job opportunities create the issue of people dealing with literacy, their health, and eliminating poverty are probably the core issues that we can do the most about. We spend a lot of time and energy on issues that deal with the symptoms of these problems. We go out and we put beds for homeless, we put gang money in for apprehension, but in reality, if we can deal with the issue of the poverty, the issue of literacy, and the issue of health, we will solve most of those symptoms by dealing with the core issues.
District 4 Councilmember Tom LaBonge asks staff if these new strategies will be exclusively for Los Angeles residents to the exclusion of neighboring cities.
What if you live in an unincorporated area next to the city?
Councilmember John Reamer, Director, Bureau of Contract Administration. We do currently have what's called project labor agreements on several projects in departments in the city of Los Angeles. The Department of Public Works being the largest, with roughly 7 working now. The Los Angeles Harbor Department has 2. The World Airports has 1. And with the airport and the harbor, they have what they call geographical impact zones. So these are areas that have been impacted by the work that takes place at the harbor and the airport.
So someone in Inglewood could be eligible for a job at the airport.
In those scenarios,
that I'm all for LA, but I'm also understand our borders are not pure as they written in some sphere.
Robert Science, Assistant General Manager, Community Development Department. We have a cooperative agreement with our county work search centers, and we don't recognize the county city boundaries, and we mutually refer across county city lines all the time.
Good, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Onward and upward.
Mr. Reyes, and then Mr. Huizar.
Yes, I just want to thank my colleagues, Councilor Perry and Parks and Weston, and those of us who've been pushing to address the needs of our youth. For the past 3 or 4 years, we've been asking the administration of all our departments, to start looking at this notion of hiring youth, creating jobs, not as a courtesy, not as a public relations effort, but a real tangible effort that speaks to accountability. I believe this study will at least give us the basis by which we identify where these populations exist. We know where they are, but we need to be able to justify and support our actions in court should we be challenged. So the nexus has to be established, and I believe the strength of Councilman Perry's effort is to get us on solid ground for asking, for imposing, for requiring these kinds of efforts. We have tremendous staff that's been working with us. It's about time that we give them the strength and the power to enter an office, whether it be in the city or in the private sector, and say, these are the folks that you can hire. Show us how well you've done. Tell us why we should be partners, knowing that you take advantage of our city resources, and this is a way to put forth the type of effort that allows our dollars to recycle within our own economic circles, within our neighborhoods, within our city. So for that, gentlemen, thank you for being there. I know we need to give you more strength. We need to give you more effort in terms of we need to show more effort in how we can support you and making sure that you're not walking into these offices with hat in hand or with your hands open, but actually with a real red pen and say, this has to get done, this has to get placed in your particular business, and this is how we can hire youth because they're ready.
Saying that this is long overdue, District 14 Councilmember Jose Huizar describes We Build, a similar program used by the Los Angeles Unified School District.
I've talked to you about what the school district did in the midst of the largest public works program in the country, a $16 billion program, building schools in some very low-income neighborhoods. And when we started this program over there, we looked around and said, well, wait a minute, we're not involving some of the folks involved in these projects. But we not only saw it as a way to gain meaningful employment to these individuals, but we also saw it as a way to build communities. Because when people build something in their neighborhood, they're proud of it, they're going to protect it, and it's going to build that community. So I think there's lots of benefits by doing this. And I know you will be looking at the We Build program, which I championed at the school district, where we got individuals who live locally near the schools, trained at one of our adult ed schools. We put them in an apprenticeship program with one of the unions, and within the first 2 years we had 200 individuals living in some very low-income neighborhoods on the job, building schools, and that's a very successful program.
Stating that a job is a pathway out of gangs, Bill Rosendahl asks for a thumbnail sketch of what we're doing.
Everything. Just give us a quick thumbnail sketch of what we're doing.
Robert Science, AGM, CDD. What we're doing is actually transforming lives. If you want to hit the nail on the head, we are giving opportunities to our local residents to bid on jobs, to actually have access to the information of when jobs will become available. We're also encouraging our contractors, and actually taking it beyond encouraging. Hopefully when we do get the local hiring policy in place, is that we will be requiring the contractors to hire from our local residents. We have thousands, and thanks to the great efforts of Councilman Huizar on the We Build program, we're training thousands of people throughout our district to fill these jobs within the trade industries. We also are working with the unions to open up the union process for our local residents. Often folks don't have access to that process. It could be quite daunting for someone who doesn't have any family members within the unions. Currently, through our efforts, we've opened about 250 positions as first-time apprentices through our efforts on the construction side. So on the thumbnail sketch, we are transforming lives.
And as you're transforming, which I think are thousands of people's lives, I keep carrying the cup, Homeboy Industry, which means a job. A job is a pathway out of gangs. A job is a preventive strategy. It's an intervention strategy. It's the best kind of strategy dealing with young people going forward. When you envision this, will a young man or woman who goes through the criminal justice system that gets stamped as a felon, how will they be able to participate and how will they be able to get jobs in this program?
One of the best examples was a Times article that came out about 2 weeks ago, and the front page of the Metro section had a young man that went through the justice system who's now working for the iron workers. We are working directly with the unions. Many of them do not have those requirements that weed out.
Saying that this is long overdue, District 14 Councilmember Jose Huizar describes We Build, a similar program used by the Los Angeles Unified School District.
I've talked to you about what the school district did in the midst of the largest public works program in the country, a $16 billion program, building schools in some very low-income neighborhoods. And when we started this program over there, we looked around and said, well, wait a minute, we're not involving some of the folks involved in these projects. But we not only saw it as a way to gain meaningful employment to these individuals, but we also saw it as a way to build communities. Because when people build something in their neighborhood, they're proud of it, they're going to protect it, and it's going to build that community. So I think there's lots of benefits by doing this. And I know you will be looking at the We Build program, which I championed at the school district, where we got individuals who live locally near the schools, trained at one of our adult ed schools. We put them in an apprenticeship program with one of the unions, and within the first 2 years we had 200 individuals living in some very low-income neighborhoods on the job, building schools, and that's a very successful program.
Stating that a job is a pathway out of gangs, Bill Rosendahl asks for a thumbnail sketch of what we're doing.
Everything. Just give us a quick thumbnail sketch of what we're doing.
Robert Science, AGM, CDD. What we're doing is actually transforming lives. If you want to hit the nail on the head, we are giving opportunities to our local residents to bid on jobs, to actually have access to the information of when jobs will become available. We're also encouraging our contractors, and actually taking it beyond encouraging. Hopefully, when we do get the local hiring policy in place, is that we will be requiring the contractors to hire from our local residents. We have thousands, and thanks to the great efforts of Councilman Weezer on the We Build program, we're training thousands of people throughout our district to fill these jobs within the trade industries. We also are working with the unions to open up the union process for our local residents. Often folks don't have access to that process. It could be quite daunting for someone who doesn't have any family members within the unions. Currently, through our efforts, we've opened about 250 positions as first-time apprentices through our efforts on the construction side. So on the thumbnail sketch, we are transforming lives.
Well, with that, let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. If we can reconsider 21.
Watch Council Week in Review for highlights of the week's council meetings and listen for item numbers associated with those discussions you have an interest in. Then go to the World Wide Web and listen to those discussions in their entirety using the new City of Los Angeles Video on Demand feature. Visit the city's website at lacity.org and just follow the instructions on the screen. Now, if you have suggestions or comments about any of the programs you see here on Channel 35 or would like to receive a free viewer guide, call our viewer hotline at 213-473-3978. And remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending June 22nd, 2007. On behalf of John Worthy and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
Hello, I'm Councilmember Wendy Gruhl. Ovarian cancer is one of the leading causes of death in American women. Each year, 20,000 women are diagnosed, and nearly 15,000 will die. Our best defense against the dangers of ovarian cancer is early detection. A woman's chance for survival is greater if the cancer is found early. So please, be sure to have your annual physical, a pelvic exam, and a regular blood test. Contact the Ovarian Cancer Coalition for more information on signs and symptoms. Early detection can help save lives.
Bulky item pickup? Call 311, the toll-free number for non-emergency services. 311, your one call to City Hall. Graffiti removal? Call 311, the toll-free number for non-emergency services. 311, your one call to City Hall.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the June 26th meeting of the Los Angeles City Council. We meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday here in John Ferraro Council Chambers, room 340 of City Hall, except for the first Friday of the month in which we meet in Van Nuys City Hall. We are currently awaiting a quorum. I want to thank council members who are here on time. Council members LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, and Zine. We are being broadcast live on Channel 35, where we are rebroadcast in the evening as well. We're also available online at lacity.org, where we can catch live streaming webcasts of our council meetings, and we can also, of course, get that now on video on demand, past council meetings, which you can request at our city's homepage, again, lacity.org, where there's a wealth of information about city services, elected officials, and other important matters for Angelenos. Lastly, if you're not close to a computer or a television, you can always listen into the council meetings using Council Phone, which is a service of the city, a telephone number you can call in and listen to the audio coverage of our council meetings and any of our committee meetings, and that number is at 213-621-CITY. We also invite members of the public to read the agendas online at lacity.org. Those agendas are available in person here at the city clerk's office or in council chambers, where we have in the back council ambassadors, local high school students, who can help you navigate the ins and outs of a council meeting. If you are interested in speaking on any of the items that have been placed on the agenda for public comment, please fill out a speaker card in the back and give that to one of the sergeant-at-arms on the sides of the chambers here, and we'll make sure that your voice is heard. And finally, if you have comments on general items that are not on the agenda but nevertheless are under the jurisdiction of the City Council, we're happy to hear those general public comments too if you fill out a speaker card and hand that to one of the sergeants-at-arms. We also have the capacity to take your testimony from Van Nuys City Hall. If it's closer to where you live, we invite you to go to the council chambers in Van Nuys, and with teleconferencing facilities, we are able to watch you here in council chambers and on Channel 35. And again, we meet there every Friday, first Friday of the month. Thanks again to council members LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, and Zine. We are awaiting a quorum, and we have a number of council presentations as we usually start each Friday with. Our first presentation today will be led by Councilmember Bill Rosendahl, and I know the mayor will be joining us. Mr. Rosendahl, are we ready to go? Yeah. Not quite yet, so we will wait a couple more minutes to begin that, and after that, Councilmember Ed Reyes will have a special presentation as well. So again, thank you to the council members who are here. We are currently at 8 members. We are waiting 2 more members, Councilmember Wesson and Councilmember Weiss. Today, Councilmembers Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, and Huizar are excused for city business. So thank you again to Councilmembers LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, and Zine. If Councilmembers Weiss and Wesson would make their way down. And we will begin our presentations shortly. We also want to welcome Councilmember Jackie Goldberg to our chambers. It's good to see you here and good to have you here. Welcome back to chambers. And I'd like to recognize as well Mr. LaBonge. Would you like to do an introduction? Okay, we will do that shortly. So if everybody sit tight, we should begin in about 1 or 2 minutes. Thank you very much for your patience. Rosendahl, Smith, and Zine. Mr. Wesson make his way down, and I know Mr. Weiss is expected at 10:30. With the two of them, we will have a quorum. We're just awaiting the mayor, and we will begin our presentation. Mr. Rosendahl, you ready? Okay. I'd like to recognize the council member from the 11th District for a very special presentation today. Please welcome Councilmember Bill Rosendahl.
Mr. President, colleagues on the City Council, Eric, bring that over here. Eric Bauman. Put you to work. Okay? No. We'll put this right over here. As we know how to be creative and artistic and make things happen. And frankly, the world needs to see us today as we are. We are the rainbow. We are the rainbow of society. We are the people from all over the world who are right now on the verge of getting our basic civil rights. We've come a long way in the last 50 years. We still have a way to go. Where do we have to go yet in this great country? Well, we don't have the ability right now, because of don't ask, don't tell, to be in the military. That is unacceptable. We don't have gay marriage in this great country, except for Massachusetts, which finally was one of the few places that said it may happen. San Francisco did it early on, which really created an energy we never had before. But this is a great moment, and right now we want the West Coast Singers, would they please come on up and make their music right now that they're about to do, and then we'll go from there. Please. Here they come, folks, all dressed up. Thank you. While they're assembling themselves, know this, that today is pretty much the end of Gay Pride Month in the city of Los Angeles. We have been celebrating Gay Pride as we began to become proud of ourselves and realize that we are as good and as decent and as normal as everybody else, and that pride has spilled over into our great region, our great nation. And this is the last day, more or less, of the month of June, where in LA City we celebrate Gay Pride. Please, love to hear you. The West Coast Singers, everybody.
Justice was our battle and our justice
The West Coast Singers will also be singing in the Rotunda later in the program. And if you want to really hear more, go to the Madrid Theater in Canoga Park, and they are singing there. And most recently, they were at the Barnsdale Park in Hollywood. A great group that gives us the energy to go forward with this program right now. Yes, indeed, I'm Bill Rosendahl, and I'm an openly gay guy, and I got elected to the LA City Council. The real trailblazers were Joel Wax and Jackie Goldberg. In fact, Jackie put legislation on the books here in the city that absolutely forbid any kind of discrimination against gays, lesbians, bisexual, and transgenders. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The mayor will be coming shortly, and before he comes, I'd like to make a few comments about where we are today. I'm 62 years old, so I've lived within the dark shadow of being gay back in my youth. When I was going to Christopher Street and going to the Stonewall as a 18-year-old, we could drink in New York at 18. I grew up in New Jersey, and there is where I found people like me walking Christopher Street. And in that moment, I had to go to the library and look under the word H for homosexuals, get a book, put it under my sweater, and take it home to read it up in the attic. Because in those days, we were deep in our closets. We really didn't have any role models, at least public role models. We didn't really have a sense of identity and a sense of self. Many of us felt like aliens. Why are we here? What are we doing here? And we struggled. We did find ourselves in places that we could meet each other. And in this great city, Harry Hayes, in the 50s, created the Manishin Society. He's now passed on. Stuart Timmons, who's written this book, was one of his close friends. And I got to know Harry Hay. And frankly, when I celebrated my 50th birthday, which was about 6 months after my partner, Christopher Lee Blauman, died of AIDS, I celebrated my birthday by making it a fundraiser for Harry Hay. I said, give me $50 for Harry. He walked out with his partner, John, with $10,000 in his pocket and was able to continue in dignity to be the tremendous leader he was in the 50s and a trailblazer for the modern gay movements. And Stuart, thank you for putting this book together with Lillian Faberman. And this is a history of us. And you'll see, as our incredible council staffer here, Eric Sanherho, who put this all together, that we have a slide presentation of the history of our movement and how we have come of age in this great nation. We can be open, we can be honest, we can be positive, and we can enjoy our lives. As you can see right now on the screen, the history. And for our people watching this on Channel 35, this will be repeated again tonight. And those of us in society who want to know more, buy this book, and you'll get a rich history of how far we've come. We still have a long way to go. Not that much in this great country. Fortunately, our democracy has been opening up. Our civil liberties have been coming our way. But we still have some basic issues to do. We have an ENDM resolution here, which hopefully will be unanimously passed, which takes away any kind of discrimination in the workplace. And I want to thank my colleagues ahead of time, who I know will unanimously support this piece of legislation coming our way. Let's give them a round of applause for supporting us. But as I said, gays in the military, no right to marry in 49 states, hate crime legislation still needs to be passed, Suicide among the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community is too high. Homosexuality is illegal and punishable by death, as I'm standing here in many countries on this planet. I've traveled to 52 countries, and I can tell you there are places where we are not accepted and our civil rights do not exist whatsoever. And that is where we need to be fighting on the international front. But here in Los Angeles, thanks to our leadership here in this city and in the county, in the region, and in the state, I want to thank Sheila Kuehl, who's not here, for her leadership up in Sacramento. She's been fantastic. And frankly, I want to thank the mayor of San Francisco for his bold action when he did allow gay marriage that raised the bar and began to raise the consciousness of everybody in this great country that, you know, it's a private relationship between another person and it is sanctified, and we want the same basic rights within our contracts and relationships as heterosexuals have. And when he was the trailblazer on that, that gave the energy more positive spin throughout the nation. And frankly, Massachusetts is the first state, and I know there'll be other states that will go forward with it. Last week, we talked about AIDS, and we talked about the future of AIDS, and Steve Simon has done a great job. Thank you, Steve, for what you've done in the city. And one of the comments I made at that presentation was that from 1985 to 1995, we lost tens of thousands of our brothers and sisters, especially our brothers, to the AIDS epidemic. And the only good news in that horrific genocide, Holocaust, I call it, was the fact that people began to realize that they knew somebody who was gay. Before that, the line was, I don't know anybody who's gay. Well, then they realized their brother or their uncle or their dad or their cousin, their grandfather even, or their son happened to be gay. And that was the biggest civil rights advancement we had, which is people we know personally are gay, and therefore it is a familiar thing. The mayor is walking in, and I want to introduce our great mayor. When he was up in Sacramento, he led the fight for basic civil rights and basic legislation. And, you know, he's marched and been part of all the gay prides, even when nobody else was in those parades. He is a person who doesn't discriminate against anybody. Some of his more senior staff, members of his commission, are gay. And, you know, what he cares about is can they do the job, whoever they may be, and their sexual orientation is a personal situation, and frankly, he embraces all of us. It's a great honor to bring our mayor up right now, Antonio Villaraigosa.
I hugged Bill and I said, I told you I'd give you a big kiss.
You did.
And I did. Let me just say to Bill, thank you for leading the way. You know, they say that when you open up the door for one of us, you open up the door for all of us. And Jackie Goldberg, who I understand is here today.
Right here.
I'm a council member, great leader, great friend. Was the first openly lesbian to serve on our city council, but you were the first to run openly as a gay man, as a man who believed very strongly that it was important to stand up and speak out. And you've done that. And for you to come to this council today for the first time, where we openly acknowledge the important contributions of the GLBT community here in Los Angeles is a real hallmark and a real indication of why it was so important to have someone like you on our city council. Let's give him a big hand. Bill Rosendahl, Pride Month. I need that picture, please. I need the picture. You know, can I have the picture for a second? The picture? the picture that you're going to show me? Hey, everybody. All I know is this. You know, I don't know what happens. Tori Osborne, I'm sorry. By the way, if it wasn't said, I understand that no mayor ever has had as many gay and lesbian members of their staff and appointments than I have, and I feel very, very good about that. And Tori Osborne is leading the way. But you know, everybody, I missed my first gay pride parade in years. You know, I love going because I get these guys who standing along the way and they do numbers for you. And I always get a good number with them, so it makes me feel good. But lo and behold, you know, I hear my good friend Mr. Zine was there with Mr. Garcetti. Can I show you, everybody? It is beautiful. Mr. Zine and Garcetti. What a beautiful pair they make. Here they are again. I mean, what happened to me? You know? A threesome. Hey.
No comment, folks.
Look at Mr. Garcetti. Let me just say, it is important in these times that this city speak to gay pride. Thank you. Oh, there they are. These are the real photos, everybody. Don't they look great? Aren't they great? Aren't they beautiful? We love them. Yeah, I want one of these. Let me just say that in these times, in America, in all seriousness, you introduced me, Mr. Rosendahl, as the author of AB 1001. It was a struggle for more than a decade. In the 1980s and before that, to put forth the idea, a basic idea, in this great America, and an America that says that we're all created equal under the law and under the eyes of God. The idea that we would have to legislate to the right to be free of discrimination in housing and in employment took more than a decade and many, many efforts to pass. And I remember on the floor of the legislature saying that this was the last frontier of civil rights. This was the only community that people would look you dead in the face and say to you somehow that it was okay to discriminate based on your sexual orientation. And thank God for a progressive legislature, and thank God for a governor who signed that legislation. And that opened up the door for so much more, for domestic partnership registry initially, for Sheila Kuehl's Dignity for All Students bill. Again, a very, very brutal fight. It was written that it was one of only 2 losses of mine when I was Speaker of the Assembly. I like to remind people we won it a few months later. We don't like losses, do we? No. Not on issues of civil rights, that's for sure. And so it is fitting. And yet, and let's just say it, and yet we still have many fights still to go. The idea that the government and that unfortunately that political leaders would divide and stigmatize and demonize this community the way they did in the presidential election a few years ago. The idea that somehow Democrats lost that election because of the issue of equality of marriage. I've said, and many of you know I was a co-chair of that campaign, nothing could be further from the truth. When we speak to our values, we win. When we run away from our values, we lose. And we lost, I believe, because we failed to speak out for every American and everyone's right to be able to pursue life, liberty, and happiness, including the right to marry and be together. And so I am very, very proud to be the mayor of a city that's among the most progressive anywhere in the nation. It's a city that says I don't care who your father or your mother or your mother and your mother or your father and your father were. I judge you on the content of your character, on your contributions. This is a great city, and this is the place where we should celebrate the contributions of the GLBT community. I'm very excited to be here with you, and I'm thankful to the council president and the council for allowing me to come to the chambers. You should all know when you're mayor, you have to ask permission to come to the chamber, and I always do, in total respect. I'm going to say something in Spanish, because I think it's important to communicate what we just said a toda la comunidad. Y nunca me he dejado en este asunto. Mira, para mí es un honor estar aquí con mi amigo, mi colega, Bill Rosendahl, que es el primer gay que ha sido elegido aquí como concejal en Los Ángeles. Y él está auspiciando este mes de orgullo de ser gay, porque es importante aquí en Los Ángeles que aceptamos a todos, que decimos que los derechos civiles no son solamente para un grupo, sino para toda la gente. Y en estos tiempos, cuando algunos políticos tratan de castigar y demonizar a esta comunidad, aquí en Los Ángeles decimos que todos están bienvenidos y que vamos a proteger y expandir los derechos civiles de toda la comunidad, incluyendo la comunidad gay. Es un orgullo estar aquí celebrando este mes de orgullo gay. Gracias.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, we talk about Stonewall, and we call our feast festival every year the Christopher Street West, because people think about that. But you know, the year before that, the Black Cat on Sunset Boulevard, which was a gay bar, minutes after the new year came in, the police were there. 6 males were arrested for kissing, 16 others were arrested, and several others were injured. The case went to the Supreme Court in 1968, who refused to hear it. This crackdown was followed by an LAPD raid later in the Patch, which was a gay bar in Wilmington, which was immediately met with protest. In the late 60s, as we were all involved in this civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, the beginnings of the modern-day gay civil rights movement began. But the police have never been our friends until the most recent period in time, where the police have become enlightened and they realize that to discriminate against us, to harass us, to hurt us is totally unacceptable. And our chief of police, Bill Bratton, is a leader who is in favor of diversity and treats us all with equality. I'd like to bring our chief of police up, Bill Bratton.
If I could, I know there are a number of officers who are openly gay, lesbian. If I could ask them to come up and stand with me as I make my brief remarks to the council. Good news is this is only some of them. There are more. And there are many more who, by choice, have preferred not to come out into the open, if you will, but as times change, the department itself will change. In 1977, as a young sergeant in the city of Boston, my hometown, I was appointed as the first liaison of that department to the gay, lesbian community at that time to deal with the many issues of harassment by the Boston police against that community. In 1977-78, the City of Boston Police Department created what we believe was the first hate bias unit in the country, the Community Disorders Unit, and a lot of their work was to deal with hate bias acts against the gay community. I have a lot of experience with this community. My sister Pat is a lesbian. Her and her partner were two of the first to take advantage of the Massachusetts law allowing marriage between partners. They have a wonderful 16-year-old son who, along with my son, David, is one of the joys of my life, an extraordinary young man growing up in the new age, the new era, if you will. And I can remember as a Boston police superintendent working with the postal authorities to investigate both my sister Pat and her partner, who were employees of the post office, and were subjected to tremendous harassment within that agency against them because of their sexual persuasion. So I have a great understanding of these issues, and so long as I'm chief of police in this department, we as an organization will be committed to the issues of concern to these communities. I'd like to identify one of the officers here with me to point her out that I think she's very well known in this city, and that's Sergeant Lisa Phillips that is here. I point her out for several reasons. A Medal of Valor winner, that she was the department's first liaison to the gay, lesbian community, 1993. The recruitment effort, 1994, she became the department's first official liaison to that community. And she has worked tirelessly. You will see her at every recruiting event along with many of the other officers here. She has worked along with them to advance the idea that the Los Angeles Police Department is an organization that is opening itself up and that we are actively recruiting, and I'll take advantage of this, that we are actively recruiting. We have great salaries, and thanks to the support of the council, we are hiring continuously. So if you want to make a difference, be the difference. Well, Bill, thank you so much for this opportunity to showcase some of our finest and this community's finest.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Dennis hugs me all the time.
That's it. I told the Chief I was going to give him a hug, you know. We're going to show who we are here. You know, when the mayor came mayor, one of the great achievements, in my opinion, of his administration for the last 2 years has been appointing people to commissions and boards that reflect the community, people who will make a difference on those commissions. The Police Commission is a very important commission because if we have one of us on that commission, we can feel more comfortable that our rights are going to be protected. And we have that great commissioner here with Shelley Friedman. Come on up, Shelley.
Thank you, Council Member, and thank you for having me here today. And good morning, everybody. 38 years ago, in my former hometown, New York City, Los Angeles is my hometown now. And always will be. 38 years ago, a group of men and women, well, mostly men, rose up against the New York City Police Department and their consistent raids of the Stonewall Bar on Christopher Street, where Bill Rosendahl used to frequent. I will say I'm younger than Bill. I do want to say that I'm younger than Bill Rosendahl. I'd like to make that announcement. And I was actually in grade school when the Stonewall riots happened. But I was at that time in my life already knew that there was something different about me. And I was 10, for those of you who are still wondering, who want to do the math. I knew at that time in my life that there was something different. And maybe at that time it felt like there was something not right. And I think that for many of us who are here today in this room, in this chamber, and watching on television, who grew up gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgender. We all know that feeling, the feeling that I'm talking about, that feeling of isolation and loneliness, and that something just isn't quite right, and not really understanding it. And as I grew older, I came to understand that, and one of the things that I realized with the help of an incredibly loving and wonderful family and incredible loving and wonderful friends was that actually this was something incredibly right with me, that this thing that felt different was probably the best thing about me. And so 8 years after those Stonewall riots, when I graduated from high school, I marched in my first gay pride march in New York City, and I marched in every one of them for the 20 years or so after that I lived in the city, and I'm proud to have made almost all of our marches here in Los Angeles, and for the handful of years I lived in San Francisco before I had the good sense to move to Los Angeles, and I just want to say that what I see in this city of Los Angeles is an incredibly progressive place to live and work as a gay person, as a member of this gay and lesbian community. We have so many people here. I'm not really sure why I'm at the podium, and people like Jackie Goldberg and Lori Jean, and I saw John Guile earlier. So many leaders, Tori Osborne, so many leaders of our great community are here, and I'm here because of them. And I want to thank them. I do want to say something about Chief Bratton, because I think he was modest, and he is humble about his passion for diversity. I've worked with this man for a couple of years now, and 30 years ago, as I mentioned, when I was marching in that first gay pride march that I marched in New York City, he was the first gay and lesbian liaison officer in the Boston Police Department. His commitment to this community is extraordinary. I think everyone in this room will recall a year and a half ago when we had some challenges in our Hollywood area with the gay community. It was the chief who stepped up and said, "We're gonna look at this. We're gonna change the way that we work with this community." And it was he who was a strong proponent of interagency cooperation, working with the West Hollywood Sheriff and the LAPD, working together to make our community safe, a safe place for everybody. And I'm honored to work with him. He's a great champion for our community. As you all know, our mayor is a great champion for our community as well. And it's my pleasure to serve as a Los Angeles Police Commissioner. Councilmember Rosendahl mentioned that we still have some fights to fight, and we do. There's nothing that would make me happier than to marry my partner of 17 years here in the state of California. People often ask me why I won't go to Massachusetts and do it, and I don't have a good answer except that I want to get married right here in the city of Los Angeles in the state of California.
Right.
And I think that here in our city we understand that marriage equality is important. We understand that separate but equal is not good enough for our community. So thank you everybody for being here. I want to tip my hat to Sergeant Lisa Phillips and all of our gay and lesbian officers who are here today. And again, as long as we're getting some free TV time, I want to echo the Chief's comments. We are recruiting, and we have great jobs at great pay. So thank you.
I'm going to do a quick improvisation here because the council meeting needs to go forward. So I would like Rabbi Freeling and Laura Jean and Tori Osborne to come stand next to me as I make the next presentation. We will continue those types of discussions and presentations and awards at the Rotunda in a few minutes. But first I want the cameras to see Tori Osborne right here, who is one of the special assistance deputies to the mayor and is constantly protecting and looking at our rights and seeing that we get all the rights. Bless you for everything you're doing for all of us. Now, Laura Jean runs the Gay and Lesbian Community Service Center and is truly a great leader in our city. and has done an amazing job in protecting our basic rights and seeing that we move into the next level. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Rabbi Freeling heads the Human Relations Commission, and in that capacity, he is always vigilant about any hate crimes, any discrimination, any issues that might be affecting us, and is quick to let us know about it and to protect us. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you. And the three of us are now going to be what I call the color guard for Jackie Goldberg, who I want to come up and speak a few words to her former colleagues on this great city council. Jackie. We'll flank her.
There we go. I like being flanked. That didn't come out too well. We'll let that go right down. Mr. President, members of the council, and of course the Honorable Council Member Rosendahl. First of all, I think it's a wonderful thing and long overdue to have something done here in the City Hall chambers. And my only regret is when I first heard about it is, why didn't I think of that? But I didn't. And so there you go. Great ideas just keep coming up. It's important to do this because while we've come a long way, certainly in Los Angeles and in California, there is still a long way to go. I was reflecting, we couldn't exactly remember when the Briggs Initiative was, but it was sometime in the late 70s, 78. We got it exactly, 78. And that's when I first came out to the faculty at the high school at which I was teaching, because the Briggs Amendment, for those of you who don't remember, but I will never forget, said that if you were gay or lesbian, you couldn't teach. And that's what I was. I was a high school teacher. A high school teacher with a 3-year-old child that I was the sole support of. And I thought, oh my God, there were a few people on my faculty who kind of knew that I was probably gay, but they weren't sure. And I thought there were maybe a couple that I thought were probably gay, but had never asked. And suddenly, I actually believe that people who were friends of mine and who were colleagues of mine were going to vote for the Briggs Initiative. Oh my God, I really never meant to have my personal life out here in front of everybody. I'm a private person. I've always been a private person. But I thought, I don't have any choice. This is so little by little. I didn't make any big, bold announcements. Little by little, I went through the faculty and told them that I really hoped they would vote no on the Briggs Initiative, because I, as a lesbian, and oh my God, I want to tell you how hard it was getting that word out of my mouth. It just lesbian. A gay woman was a lot easier, I'll tell you that. A gay woman was a lot easier. But I, as a lesbian, was relying on them to stand up for me. And boy, terrified. Only one or two people kind of became a little cooler to me. The rest of them, a couple of them said, I knew that. Not too many, though. And the interesting thing is we found out, I think there were 5 gay members of our faculty. 2 of whom I had predicted, 1 of whom I predicted wasn't, and a couple who were so deeply closeted it would never have occurred to me that they were gay men. I tell you this story because it's coming out that has made the biggest difference in our community. And I'm sorry that it took the AIDS epidemic for that to happen, but it really does make a difference. I remember when I ran for city council as an openly lesbian woman, and people were critical of me because I didn't just jump right into it and say I was lesbian. The community was very upset. But I wanted to remind them that I had a son who was in high school, and that when you are gay or lesbian and you have children, it isn't just you that gets the brunt of it. It's your children. This society comes after your kids. And you can't understand, unless you've been there, what it's like to know that just because of who you are, that your child may suffer. And my son did. When I was on the school board, And we decided, Roberta Weintraub, bless her heart, I wish she were here today, and she on the right, me on the left, we decided if we did this together, nobody could stop us. We actually provided, I think, the most important and the very best protection for persons with we didn't call it HIV, but persons living with AIDS, whether they were students or whether they were employees. And I took a lot of guff for that, and my son was beaten up at his elementary school because these were kids who didn't even understand what the issue was, but they had heard that I was protecting fags. And if I was protecting fags, that his mom must be evil and vicious, and they beat him up. Well, they only did that once. My son's fairly big, but he had been taught not to fight. Well, after that, I said, well, at least you can defend yourself. You don't start it, but if they hit you, don't get the crap beat out of you again. And he never did again. I tell this story because people don't get it. That this kind of hate affects your whole family. It doesn't affect just you. And it affected those little children who, without even understanding the word fag or anything else about it, were willing to hit a kid because of who his mother might be. Now, that's just not acceptable, and yet it still goes on today. It goes on today in spite of good law. Kids in high schools, boys in particular, who don't run fast enough around the track are called either one of two heinous things: girls or fags. That's it. Those are the choices if you don't run fast enough and you're a boy. If you're not strong and big and strapping, well, that's unacceptable. We have got to clean up our act. It is important that we treat everyone with dignity, and that includes not only gay and lesbian, bisexual, and transgender kids, but everybody, African Americans and Latinos. I don't know if you watched that debate last night, but it was about time some of those questions got asked of presidential candidates. And I think that we saw in the Supreme Court that nothing is permanent when you make victories. That they could just blithely, with a stroke of a pen, turn back Brown versus Board of Education in the Supreme Court, means that nothing is permanent. No gains that we make are permanent. It means we are all compelled to continuously be in the struggle for the human rights of everyone. Of everyone. Of everyone. And that's whether it's woman's right to choose and reproductive rights, or whether it's finally saying that at some point or another we're going to take equal educational opportunity to mean outcomes and not just how much money we spend per kid. And that's what it means when we mean that we want to do harm reduction. We need to get rid of the war on drugs. I mean, after 40 years and billions of dollars, we went from 170,000 people incarcerated to now more than 1.5 million incarcerated. And are we any safer as a result of all of that war on drugs? 70% of everybody in prison is there for a drug-related issue. And you ask me, why is all this connected to gay and lesbian pride? Because nobody's rights are safe unless everybody's rights are safe.
All right.
So I want to thank all of you and all of the people who sat in the chairs before you for making the progress and to put Los Angeles in the leadership in some of these very battles. But we cannot sit on the laurels, and we don't expect you to sit on the past laurels. We expect you to be in the leadership in every area where people are still discriminated against, whether it's based on their gender or their race or their ethnicity, if they're perceived to be Arabs, if they're perceived to be Muslim, whatever it is, we all have to say that these pride days, these pride months need to eventually be eliminated. Eventually there should be the history of the United States. And you shouldn't have to have a month to signal the contributions of any group because it should be well integrated into the historical memory of all of us since we were all there. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Bill and the Human Rights Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you very much. And I've been asked to let folks know about the rotunda that folks will be moving over there. We have 3 council members who would like to be heard. Would this be appropriate time, Mr. Rosendahl?
Please, it would
be 4 members, excuse me. Starting with Mr. Weiss, and then Mr. Parks, Mr. Labange, and Mr. Zahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will be very brief, but I first want to say to my friend Bill Rosendahl that not only am I proud to serve with you, I am very proud to live in a city where you can be celebrated for exactly who you are, and we all feel that way about you here on the council. And I do not want to embarrass anybody, but at the risk of doing that, I want to acknowledge one friend who is here today, who rode with me, with you in the parade a few weeks back, and that's Dave Cano from my office. And David, it was very touching during the parade. You wore a shirt that said, "I'm with Jack." And Dave, I want to tell you in front of all of your friends here today, I am with you. And I'm very, very, very glad you're here with us, and I'm very glad to be with everybody else who's here.
Thank you. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Bill, thank you for doing this today and having been somewhat of a veteran of the Gay Lesbian Parade and seeing the pride. I'm so glad to see Lisa Phillips here. Where's Lisa? Lisa Phillips, who really did a great job in educating the department on gay lesbian issues and recruitment, and being the first Medal of Valor winner, basically said that gay and lesbian officers can do anything. And I think we also, in looking at the historical perspective, is we can't forget about Art Maddox and Dean Hansel for what they did on the police commission and really broke some barriers. And Jackie Goldberg, I remember many of the conversations we had about needle exchange. That was one of the first times, and people did not think LAPD would ever get there. But we found a way to work that system out to have needle exchange because of the health issue. And we would not have done that without her insistence, because we were figuring out every way not to do it. And she was the one that said, no, you can have needle exchange. You don't have to arrest everybody with a needle. And we said, you're right, we don't have to do that, and we haven't been doing it. And so, but the health issue became the big thing in the city, but without her leadership, that would not have occurred. But it is great to see so many members of the gay lesbian community here. And also want to say Laura Jean, great seeing you back. Laura Jean is the primary reason that LAPD has a gay lesbian forum, because of discussing issues about whether it was Griffith Park or a variety of things. It was a need to come up and educate the department and the community about these unique issues. And so glad to see that you're back in the community. So thank you very much, Bill. And certainly Gay Pride Month, we hope that one day, as we say on Black History Month and Hispanic History Month, that one day it will all be 365 days instead of 1 month, because every day these communities live in this city and they contribute. So thank you for bringing this up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parks. Our next speaker is Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Rosendahl. I love you as a human being. Who was the first guy who told you to run for office? You. Okay, and I left here in the morning meeting. I went out to your program, and I told him why, because he has a great heart. And I think to serve the people, you have to have a great heart. Give Bill Rosendahl more love right now. Okay? And to Jackie Goldberg, who won this seat by a great battle in 1993. She won by, 295 votes. A young guy from Marshall High, worked real hard, but she worked harder. And I lost by those votes. It was me. But Jackie, I love you. And we had great success this week. And it had nothing to do with your comments, but we finally got the track fixed at John Marshall High, so that's so important. But what's so important, and Bernard and Jackie said it too, you talk about days. I like days. I like days. I like 4th of July. It's everybody's day on the 4th of July. That flag is there because that flag is there. because of that flag, that American flag, and we always have to know that the independence and the fight and the struggle, it never was easy for anybody and never will be easy for anybody. But through the struggle, we're better people, as all. And I'm proud to represent the city of Los Angeles all the way, and I'm especially proud to represent my neighborhood, which I've grown up in all my life, in Silver Lake, which has always been a welcoming community of all people, which I think is the community that has really helped a lot of good things happen. That and Echo Park and other neighborhoods has always had that. But pride is real important, and to be on anybody's parade is very important, to encourage people to know who they are. I have a great experience in my life, and I want everybody to have that great experience in that life. And so to break barriers and borders and to be a great sergeant in Northeast Division doing a great job, or working wherever you're working, or being a deputy mayor, or being a head of a city department, that's a beautiful thing. So I stand in pride. I want to just have a confession. I went to Vamco this morning on Hyperion to pick this up, and I didn't know that today was his day, but I wore this in honor of Elvis Presley, because the one thing about Elvis, okay, the one thing I just want to say, I may get in trouble here, but we all get in trouble sometimes, it's all about being who you are. You know, he was from Tupelo, Mississippi, and started singing. And we're all from somewhere. And be who you are, and always respect others, and teach others to respect each other so they have the love of life, which is so important. Pride to everyone. Congratulations. Thank you, Bill Rosendahl. Thank you, Commissioner, Wells Fargo, and everybody else.
Thank you. Our next speaker is the motorcyclist known as Dennis Zine.
Thank you. And Tom LeBonge, I know Elvis Presley. I knew Elvis Presley, yes. Anyway, Bill, because I'm as old as Bill, that's why I know Elvis Presley. Bill, congratulations for this. When we talk about the Pledge of Allegiance, when we talk about this unity of this country, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all, when we talk about human rights and dignity, look around the world and we condemn other nations for not having human rights and dignity for people of other lands, and we are hypocritical in this country many times for discriminating against gay, lesbians. And when you can be the president of Wells Fargo Bank, and I have my Wells Fargo card, I made a charge today, and Shelley from Wells Fargo Bank, the president of the Western region, when you have that type of leadership, the sex is not an issue. The issue is the people. And when we hire people, and I have gays working in my office, I don't ask them about their religion. I just ask them, can you do the job? Can you do the job for the people of Los Angeles? When we talk about the LAPD, I remember when Lisa Phillips was a young officer in 77th Street Division when she won that Medal of Valor. And how many years do you have on now, Lisa? 18. You were just like 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, whatever. 18 years. In a couple years, you'll be retired. It goes by so fast, and we've gone through so many struggles, so many battles. But I was very proud to ride in the parade. Eric Garcetti was on the motorcycle with me, and we were there with many of our colleagues, and we were there showing our support for Pride. We were there showing our commitment. And Bill, you have led that crusade. I know the battle continues. We are with you. We'll continue to support you, and God bless you. And all the people here, God bless you for what you do. As they said many times, we will overcome. Thank you very much.
Next we have Mr. Reyes. After Ms. Reyes is Ms. Perry, and then Mr. Wesson.
Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to rise and thank my colleague and seatmate for his heart, his genuine concern for all people, and for all the leaders, Jackie Goldberg, everyone has spoken for your courage. I know when I went through the process of establishing Las Memorias, a wall that essentially speaks to how we honor those who have passed away because of AIDS, but how it is a health issue for everyone, not just one community. And the ugliness that came from that, those who would stand on this macho attitude of how we defame and attack and physically hurt people because they're different. I know my son was a 7th grader, and he was attacked several times at his grammar school because his dad was supporting Las Memorias. So how families get affected is real. How we react is real, but just as important as how we stand together is real. And that's what will make change in our communities, in our city, indeed in our country, if not the world. Thank you for your energy, and thank you for your effort.
Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. There's just a couple of quick points I wanted to make. Why is gay pride important to everyone? Because as we raise the profile of issues within the gay, lesbian, transgender community, it teaches people about things that they may not understand or they may not know, but it affects all of us. And one issue that I want to highlight is the importance of creating a society that doesn't cause people to have to live underground or in the closet. I know Mr. Parks and Mr. Wesson and I have done a lot of work and outreach on the issue of African American men who feel that they have to live on the down low, and the effect that it has on women, and the rate of HIV and AIDS within the minority communities for African Americans and Latinos, and particularly women, is on the rise, and still a very threatening specter to people. And I think that Gay Pride and Pride Week can go a long way to changing and transforming our society so that people don't feel that they have to hide. And I also want to highlight the fact that I do believe we had made progress. When I can look at my child and her peers, and they have friends who have two parents who are of the same gender, and they say, oh, she's lucky because she has two mommies, or, you know, she's lucky because she has two daddies, and they think nothing of it. I think it does speak volumes about the progress that we've made, and that as we continue to propagate ourselves, eventually hate dies out and freedom will prevail. And then the last point I want to make is to Mr. Zine, who is a big, beautiful man with a big, beautiful motorcycle. But, no, but you know, given that you're big and you're beautiful and, you know, you're at age, it's time for you to consider getting some relaxed fit chaps. Done.
And
thank you, Mr. President.
Our next speaker, quite a difficult act to follow, is Mr. Wesson.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President and members. I rise to introduce legislation that would outlaw Mr. Zine wearing. That is the reason why I rise on this day. God, I can picture that. I got something in my eye. It's an honor to be standing in these chambers today, and it's funny as I look out. Bill, first I want to congratulate you for making sure that we have this acknowledgement today. It's a fine thing that you do. And it's good for me to see so many dear friends that are here. Just to mention one right now is a young African American woman, Jasmine Canick, who I met a long time ago. I met at a function for gays and lesbians, minorities. And at this function, I was questioned. I was asked, do you support same-sex marriage? And I said yes, without a doubt. And they were cheering, and I looked at them, and then I said, because you guys deserve to have mother-in-laws just like everybody else. To see my dear friend Eric Bauman that's here. We've been in many great battles to destroy what I view as the last real civil rights barrier that stands in front of all of us, to listen to my dear friend and former colleague, Jackie Goldberg. I miss her eloquence. She was kind of my conscience when I served in the California State Assembly, and when I became Speaker of the House, it was because of an allegiance that I made with the members of the Gay and Lesbian Caucus. And I'm proud to be the man who started that caucus and funded that caucus. That will always be a special, special honor for me. But I long for what Jackie longs for, which is the day that people will be judged by their deeds and their actions, and not by the color of their skin or what religion they practice or who they choose to sleep with. Because in this country, it's not about how you love, it's not about who you love. The important thing is that you love. So I just pray that I live to that day when we can all walk together and truly achieve the greatness that is just waiting for us as a nation. We are our own worst enemy. And when that day comes, I will ride my own motorcycle. And I've been losing weight. I can wear chaps. I will ride next to Dennis Zine and afford Councilwoman Perry the comparison. Anyway, I'm glad that you're here. This is a great day. Jackie, you brought back good memories. I remember those. Anyway, thank you. God bless all of us. God bless us all.
Thank you. Mr. Labange?
I just wanted to add one, too. I think this is a great PowerPoint put together. And I know you mentioned Eric Sanjurjo with Janice Hahn's office. Give him a little love right there, his hard work there. And also you spoke of Robert Stevenson in here, but also Peggy Stevenson. Peggy Stevenson was at the forefront of the first council member of helping improve conditions for gay and lesbians in this city. Give love to Peggy Stevenson and the work that she did. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, colleagues, and let me congratulate Bill as well for what was a tremendous. I know we've gone long, but it was long overdue as well. So it was only fitting that we recognize and celebrate a month which, for many years, we've only had a day, and as many have said, we will one day have an entire year full. This is a very progressive council that I'm very proud to have been a part of, whether it was expanding the equal benefits language that Jackie Goldberg first put to make sure that any business doing business with the City of Los Angeles would have to have benefits for their partners. We expanded that to the Department of Water and Power, the port and the airport, the marriage equality resolutions, which we have stood as a very loud and strong voice for marriage equality and against the discriminatory federal legislation that we have seen. Recently, the money that we used to fund the first gay and lesbian senior housing in the United States of America, which is a very important landmark and a model that should spread throughout this country for folks that are living in isolation due to their poverty and due to their sexual orientation, as well as the many events that we support here, the Dyke March in Silver Lake, the gay and lesbian themed programs, special events that we have. This has been a city and a city council that has spoken out loud, spoken out consistently, and spoken out clearly, and I am very proud to be a part of this city family and the larger city family that is with us today. So God bless all of you, and thank you, Bill, for what's been a tremendous
Thank you, Mr. President. In concluding comments, I want to thank all my colleagues who got up and spoke. I want to thank my colleagues who came to Gay Pride. We had the largest turnout. I know next year will be even more. And I want to especially acknowledge my Chief of Staff, Mike Bonin, Len Nguyen, Jen Muffin, and Chad Molar, open gays and lesbians on my staff that have been effective leaders in this great city. Thank you all very much. And ladies and gentlemen, the gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual community, let's go in the back now and continue our program in the Rotunda. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl, and we'd like to next recognize for our next presentation as folks make their way into the Rotunda. Councilmember Ed Reyes from the 1st District, and if we could have everyone's assistance as we move forward with that celebration to please take your conversations outside. If we can have the Sergeants at Arms, please assist us. Thank you.
I'm going to bring this back here.
Aquí está el Cucuy, está, bueno, mi nombre es Jacqueline Cacho.
Sí.
Yo soy soy la National Spokesperson, en la que he trabajado muy de la mano con Gil Cedillo y usted para hacer esto. Y le agradezco. Qué pena que los medios se están yendo, pero ni modo.
So Jacqueline
Cacho. C-H-O. Yo soy la National.
We could ask folks to please take their conversations outside. Thank you again for joining us. And if we could please direct our respect and attention to Councilmember Ed Reyes, who is joined by two very special guests from Los Angeles and Sacramento, who we are very pleased to have here in council chambers. The Sergeants at Arms could please assist us in keeping the conversations to a minimum. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President Garcetti. It's my honor to participate in a grand campaign, La Gota de la Vida, the drop of life. I'm joined by our Honorable Senator Gil Cedillo, our Assembly Member Hector de la Torre, and I know Senator Kevin De Leon is here in spirit. Also joining with us is Jacqueline Cacho, the national spokesperson of the City of Hope. We have with us Renan, otherwise known as El Cucuy, who has joined us. Cheryl Koenig, the Senior Director of Development for the City of Hope. Diego de la Garza, Director of Government Relations. Roya Alt, Senior Director of Public Relations. And Benjamin Paz, Medical Doctor, Director of Surgery for the City of Hope. Colleagues, Gota de la Vida is a year-long campaign benefiting the City of Hope, looking to register Latinos into the National Marrow Donor Program Registry, the NMDP. The program has thus far raised over $1.2 million while registering thousands of individuals. However, while there are 5.5 million donors on the NMDP registry, less than 8% of the donors are Latino. This, while Latinos remain the third largest community to suffer from cancer. For this reason, Latino patients have a more difficult time finding a match through the registry. It's important for us to understand our responsibility, our accountability to participate as donors. I, for one, had spent this past weekend 4 days intensive care unit at the Kaiser Pediatric Ward. And there I saw many children who are ailing of cancer, who are crying throughout the night, trying to find relief, but who need donors to help them out. And it's sad that we as a Latino community, who make up almost half of the city, make up such a small percentage of those who register. The fact is, while it pains me to say it, we are simply not doing enough to help ourselves and our own community. The Drop of Life campaign now is in its 7th year, is dedicated towards changing that disturbing trend. Standing here with me are some of the leaders who have stepped forward and embraced this challenge of getting more Latinos registered into the NMDP. Personally, I am honored to have been recruited for this cause, which means so much to so many people. All we are asking is that people take a simple step to become part of this registry. It is painless, and after all, it is the gift of life we are granting. There are components to this program that I would like for others to share with the Council. So at this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of the leaders I spoke of earlier today, Senator Gil Cedillo. For me, as a friend, has been a strong leader for the voiceless, for those who are not represented, who represents the core of the city in the state, Senator Gil Cedillo.
Good morning, Mr. President and members of the Council. Let me say to you, this is my first visit here, and I'm very flattered and very honored to be here on this very important initiative. Councilmember Reyes laid out the challenge that confronts us of those millions who have suffered the horror, the terror of cancer, only 10% of the Latino population participates in the bone marrow registry. And so this campaign is vital in a city in which over 50% of the population is Latino. I won't say much more than what the campaign is about. You've heard from the councilman. But simply share with you that personally, as you know, I've lived with my family, the experiences of my wife, what it is to be a cancer patient, what it is to wonder if the bone marrow that's needed is there for you at the critical time. It can create a terror for families when there's not a sufficient supply. And that's what is vital about this campaign, what's essential about this campaign. The great news is that there's such a great coming together of leaders, cultural leaders, professionals, media stars and celebrities who have taken up this challenge and taken up this charge. We all ask all of you to join us. And I have the privilege of introducing those who are participating in this broad campaign in this effort. I want to begin by introducing first my colleague, a person I'm proud to serve with, a person I collaborate with in the Capitol, the Assembly Member for the 50th Assembly District, the Honorable Assembly Member Hector de la Torre.
Thank you very much, Gil. Thank you very much, Ed. I'm honored to be here. This really is only about the second time I've ever been in this room. So I spent a lot of time in a great city just southeast of here, in Southgate, for many, many years. So it's a little refreshing to be back in a city council atmosphere after 2.5 years in Sacramento. But in terms of La Gota de la Vida and the efforts, I just wanted to say a couple of things. One is we are very fortunate to have the incredible resource of the City of Hope right here in Southern California and all the wonderful work and the research that they do. And when you have a resource like that, I think we all assume that with healthcare that we have all this incredible technology, all this ability to help people and save people. But sometimes there are issues that are outside of the control of the doctors and the incredible medical system that we have. And in this case, it is bone marrow. You can't manufacture it. You need to have donors. And in that regard, I think it's very important for us to understand the changes and what it means to be a bone marrow donor. All you need are two things, a mouth and a hip. It is no longer necessary to have blood taken to put you into the registry. It's a swab that goes in your mouth, and that is how they register you for the program. And if at some point you are needed, then they contact you and they take the bone marrow out of your hip, not out of any other part of your body. And I think that's important for people to know because there's a lot of fear around what it means to be a bone marrow donor. I know I had it, and last year when I hosted one of these events, seeing what was going on there and being able to understand more about the issue, I became a bone marrow donor at that first event. I hosted another event this year, just a couple of weeks ago, where we had people from all over the community showing up and offering to be donors. So it's part of an education campaign that will, I know, save lives in the long run. And thank you all very much for helping us to be here and to acknowledge this great, great effort to save lives. Thank you.
The founder of the La Gota de la Vida campaign, Salvador Trevino.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody here in supporting this cause. I really want to also help us get together through the month of hope that we're celebrating. We've been able to have many matches, and we have registered thousands of people. And as we have heard, there is no substitute but for us to participate and be able to to register. If there is no names available to match, there is no possibility to do this. And I want to thank the City Council and the members for recognizing this and helping us come together and make this into our 7th year, the most successful Hispanic bone marrow drive in the United States. Thank you.
The Katie Couric of Spanish language media, of news and broadcasting, a giant star in the Spanish language communications field, Jackie Cacho, our national spokesperson.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud and honored and blessed to be the national spokesperson for the Drop of Life, La Gota de la Vida. And my career, being a journalist for 15 years here in this wonderful country, I learned so much about the necessities in my Latino community. And when Santa Fe Communications, which is the CEO, Salvador Treviño, approached me the year before this one to be one of the personalities to represent and help the community to actually be aware about how important it is to be a donor of the bone marrow, I say, of course, I have to do it. When this year he approached me and say, well, can you help us to be the spokesperson? I say, of course, more, because not only it's a necessity, but it's a responsibility. And we become to be a wonderful, wonderful seeds in the community, to create awareness. But I couldn't do it without the help of a wonderful angels. And that's how I mentioned this year my council of angels that I create, all the leaders that are supporting this year this wonderful campaign. First than anything, Senator Gil Cedillo, thank you very much, because you become to be incredible asset to this campaign and to make a difference for this wonderful month of the Drop of Life campaign. Thank you, incredible, for your support, Mr. Councilman Reyes. Thank you very much for believing in this campaign and in the awareness of the bone marrow. Especially thank you very much to Assembly Member Hector de la Torre, because of all the work, and he's been very supportive, with this idea. And I have to say, I have a person here, he's an air personality, everybody knows him, and he have the time, he's been having the time, even though his schedule is so busy, to be in every event that we were, doing this movement. And I want to say publicly, thank you very much, Cucuy Renan Almendares, for being here, because he has done so much for our community. And I'm the spokesperson for the Latino community, so I want to say something in Spanish, because, I know this is in the TV station, it's on Channel 35 tonight, and quiero decirles que me siento orgullosa y bendecida por ser parte de esta hermosa campaña. Es una labor muy ardua, muy difícil, porque no estamos pidiendo dinero, estamos pidiendo vida, estamos pidiendo que ustedes nos ayuden. Y gracias a todos los líderes, tanto del Concilio de la Ciudad de Los Ángeles, como también del Estado de California, esto va para el senador Gil Cedillo, que está apoyándonos grandemente. Gracias por estar haciendo esto posible, de poder llegar a los medios de comunicación, de poder llegar a la comunidad en una necesidad tan grande. Es una realidad que confrontamos miles de latinos. En estos momentos somos la comunidad en minoría más grande en los Estados Unidos. Pronto seremos la minoría más grande, pero no quiero que mi comunidad sea una comunidad grande en necesidad de salud, grande necesidad de educación. Queremos que eso vaya cambiando y solo tenemos que hacerlo con nuestro cambio personal. Ojalá que todos se unan este próximo 14 de julio. Los invito al Festival de la Gota de la Vida. You guys are invited as well to the festival, July 14th, all the representatives. I definitely want to encourage you guys to be part of this wonderful festival, the Life Festival. It's Festival de la Vida, July 14. It's wonderful artists that are going to be part. Hermosos artistas que están donando su tiempo este año, como Joan Sebastián, como Cristian Castro. Está viniendo también Graciela Beltrán. Están viniendo Morrison, que está aquí. Gracias por estar aquí presente. Están viniendo muchos artistas que se están uniendo. Únanse con nosotros porque su liderazgo es importante en esta campaña. Thank you again. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you to all the people that has been working behind scene We have a great PR people that has been supporting Santa Fe Communications. Thank you very much to all the team. Thank you, Renan, for talking every morning in the radio and inviting everybody, to the wonderful festival. It's July 14, and like I always say, unidos sí podemos hacer un cambio. United, we definitely can do a change. Thank you very much.
It is my pleasure to introduce a giant in our community, a real cultural leader, a man with a tremendous following, a great humanitarian. Literally, this man has raised millions of dollars for children with cancer. I've worked with him on many campaigns. He's just a great American, a great champion. He's known throughout this country and throughout Latin America as El Cucuy. Renan Almendares Cuello.
Concejal Cucuy.
Thank you, everybody, sir. It's my first time in this building. I'm sorry for my English. En good Spanish, le voy a decir gracias a todos ustedes. Thank you very much. Everybody. Gracias al gobierno de este país. Gracias por concedernos esa gota de vida, esa gota de esperanza. Uniéndome a las palabras que dijo Jacqueline Cacho, para quien pido un aplauso. También reuniendo la oración de Gil Cedillo, otro aplauso para él, y para todos los que participan. Quiero decirles que esto es tan importante para mí como mi propia vida, porque para mí los pobres representan mi vida. Para mí, los que tienen cáncer, los que necesitan de médula ósea y donación de sangre, representan mi vida. Y mi vida se las doy, no con palabras, sino con trabajo. Adelante con la gota de la vida. Porque la gota de la vida somos nosotros, los hispanoparlantes, los anglosajones y toda la comunidad. Humanos trabajando para humanos. Gracias por darme la oportunidad de agregar mi corazón a esta causa que es la gota de la vida. My heart is for the drop of the life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We also like to recognize Councilmember Weiss, who I know has been very close to this issue for some time.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank you, Hector, Gil, and Ed, and everyone that you have with you for what you're doing. Because, and you all know this issue. I don't need to tell you a lot about it. But the way this works is, you sign someone up to test them, to get them on the bone marrow registry, and they're there forever. And they will never know, you'll never know if they'll ever get a call out of the blue to help save a life. But I think, as you guys know, I know a little bit about this because it happened to me. I was tested for a blood drive that was happening in the place where I used to work, and then 5-10 years later I got a call from out of the blue that I'd matched, and went through the procedure and donated to someone that I never got the chance to meet, who lived halfway around the world. And so you're doing this to help people that you know and know about in your own community. The reality is that the folks that you register, they're going to have the chance, hopefully, to save lives literally around the world. And it's an extraordinary effort that you're involved in, and I would certainly be eager to help you in any way, and just want to acknowledge how important what you are doing truly is. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you, Councilmember. And Mr. Wesson as well.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I do want to say to Hector and my former colleague Gilly and my current colleague Ed that what you're doing is a phenomenal thing, and we need to do more. Having a brother who needed a kidney transplant and being one of the lucky ones for for him to receive that kidney, and now running around healthier than I am is a phenomenal thing. So what you're trying to do is provide the gift of life. So I did want to come up and say that it's a great thing that you're doing, and also on a lighter note to say to El Kukui that you look just like your picture on the buses. I recognized you as soon as I came in.
Thank you. Mr. Labange.
Very much. Mr. Reyes, thank you for organizing this, Assemblyman De La Torre and Senator Cedillo and all the groups. This is so important, and I just think what we should try to do, Ed, and all these special events that we approve for the festivals, maybe we should start requiring that some of them set aside a booth and make it available, because the only way we're going to get there is we get to the people. And the only way you get to the people is you get them in the street. So maybe this just was an idea because you invited us to some event on the 14th of July? Okay, of July. So there'll be other events.
It's a festival especially to promote this. So
Right.
please, I think you have to be there to do this.
Okay, thank you.
have
All right, I'll be there on the 14th. And I'll bring my wife and I'll bring my children and we'll do it because, as Herb said, one of my brothers benefited from a program like this. So it is about the gift of life. Thank each and every one of you. And I just say it's always great to see Senator Cedillo, who is one of the greatest athletes in the history of Los Angeles Unified, All-Eastern League, Roosevelt High School, quarterback of that great Roosevelt Rough Rider football team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange.
Colleagues, I want to thank you. In the past, we've supported this campaign. There have been occasions we've shut down streets. We've provided support in the large campaigns over at La Curazao, literally closed down whole sections just to make sure that we have the kind of response while Kukui was doing his marathon on the mic, getting the contributions and support for this great, great effort. So with that, I'd like to ask Jacqueline Cacho, Benjamin Paz, and Salud Trevino, they could step up. I would like to present to them a resolution that essentially is signed by all my colleagues, as well as the Mayor, Antonio Villaraigosa, our City Attorney, Rocky Delgadillo, our City Controller, Laura Chick, and our City Clerk, Frank Martinez, a resolution that essentially recognizes them for all their hard work. Be it resolved by the adoption of this resolution, the LA City Council, along with the Mayor, recognize the City of Hope's La Gota de Vida, the Drop of Life campaign, and all those who have made an outstanding contribution to the overall success of the program. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again very much, Mr. Reyes, and thank you to our special guests who are here. We have another, Mr. Labange, like to do an introduction?
Quick introduction. That's another great presentation right there.
One more person to speak, that's Dr. Benjamin Paz.
It's from the City of Hope.
From the City of Hope.
Thank you. On behalf of the City of Hope, National Cancer Center, and the bone marrow transplant program, I want to thank you all for your presentation and your support of this campaign. This is probably one way of how Latinos can we step up to responsibility of giving life. It's not something we can wait for anybody else to do it. Each one of us has a responsibility, and each one of us can save a life. Because when it comes down to matching, you have very few people that will match you. So each one of us can do it, and this is the most important message we can give to all the people in the community and in the United States. We have the lowest representation in the matching program in the bone marrow transplant, and that has a tremendous impact in the survival and the opportunities for Latinos to survive this disease. So I thank the city, as I'm the council member, as the president of the chamber, and all of the people that spoke so far for their support of this very, very important campaign. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Dr. Boss. And thank you very much for being here in City Hall and joining us, all our great leaders. Thank you.
Mr. Labange for an introduction.
Thank you very much, members. I'd like to ask Adele Bloom to please rise. And all the, right at your seat. You don't have to come up there, Adele. We're just giving them a big welcome. These are great young people from our city of Los Angeles who are going to Nagoya, Japan on an exchange. If we get the camera to focus back right on them, you're going to wave right up there. Nagoya is our longest sister city, and we certainly salute you. Thank you for participating this morning. Have a safe trip, and thank your parents. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. And recognize Mr. Reyes for a second presentation.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to ask the Aztec graduating class and their families to join us here at the podium. Okay. Who's the fire personnel with us? Fire department too.
And then you're going to call Captain Egan is here.
Okay. Okay. I'd like to also invite Captain John Egan, Lieutenant John Romero. I want to welcome our fire department personnel, our battalion chief, Tim and Pibrot. Thank you, sir.
The whole country.
Colleagues, thank you for your patience. I know it's been a long morning, but these have been very, very significant issues and important presentations. June is one of my favorite months because to me it has always signified graduations, a time of moving on, a time of growing as an individual and as a member of this community. Today is no exception. With us, the graduates of Aztec Rising organization, along with their parents and other family members, are with us to essentially recognize all their hard work in achieving this great goal. They've been working in my district for years, indeed throughout the Northeast, in Councilmember Garcetti's district, Councilmember Labange, Councilmember Huizar's, and even in other parts of the city. They focus not only on developing firefighting skills, but on developing young people to be productive adults. They train them on how to remain focused and committed to each other. The difference they've made is one in which many of our youngsters who fall through the cracks, who are no longer going to school in the traditional manner, find themselves in a place where they can at least begin to make up some of those basic skills in reading and writing while developing their ability to become that kind of person that can join the forces of firefighters. But just as significant, we are pulling them away from that downward spiral, that culture of gang violence that is such a dramatic and negative impact in our city. Father Boyle has a great saying, there's nothing greater that can stop a bullet than a job. Over the past 8 years, more than 500 young men and women have graduated from this program. Currently, those graduates are working in fire departments across the country in the states of Utah, Idaho, Montana, Colorado, and of course here in California. These graduates are keeping America's communities safe. The alumni have fought in some of the most intense forest fires and have done so with great merit. The graduates standing behind me, I need you to remember two things. You are now part of a strong tradition of firefighters, and you must carry yourselves with great pride in that tradition. And the second thing is, don't ever forget where you came from. You should be moving on, not only from a sense of commitment, but also with a sense of responsibility of giving back to this program long after you've left. This program will need its alumni to flourish, and I can tell you by looking at our young man here, he is not getting much younger. So we need the backup of all of you to keep coming back and supporting us. That was supposed to be a joke, Enrique. As Angelinos, we should all be proud of this organization. Enrique is a young man about 10 years ago, maybe even 12. We were in a meeting in Cypress Park. The Stephanie Kewen shooting had just occurred. We were trying to find a way to reach our young people. We were at the old firefighter 44 station. We had a community meeting. We had some pretty tough characters in there. And it was Enrique who stood up in front of them and invited them to take a different path, to learn to become a firefighter, and in the process learn what it is to become a productive citizen, to build that self-esteem so that they no longer felt the necessity to be part of a gang. Enrique, I'd like to ask you for a few words.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the City of Los Angeles, the Mayor, Council President Garcetti, and the parents that are here supporting us. This program would not be possible without the parents. Los padres, the staff from Gang Intervention, and all the case managers. Just give them a hand. The Junior Aztec program, we have kids from Cypress Park, Lincoln Heights, Pico Union, Boyle Heights, and Hollywood. Let's give them a big hand. They participate in community events all over. And the Aztec Fire Crew has been around since 1995, and this is the class of 2007 for the Aztec Fire Crew, Angeles National Forest. And the new program that was just added to our family, San Bernardino Fire Crew. We don't have a name yet. We're looking for a name, but they did borrow the shirts from the Aztecs, so that's why you see a lot of Aztec firefighters here. Let's give them a hand. I'm just going to allow the young success stories to come up and speak after I talk about the successes we had through this year. I had 239 clients from the year 2006-2007. 70 to 75% clients the ages of 14 to 17, about 169 adults, 70% youth clients attended programs, their grades improved, 70% of the youth improved their work habits, 75% of the behavioral changes in school, 80% of the parenting clients better results with family communication. 45% of the participants were enrolled in the Aztec Fire Fuels program. 75% of the clients were enrolled from probation department. They were referred from probation departments. The outstanding relationships we have with the Los Angeles Police Department, Los Angeles County Probation Department, and the Unified School District. I'm here to say that these programs are actually working. We have actually percentages of the outcomes that this program is creating throughout the city of Los Angeles. So I'm going to have a couple of individuals come up front and speak on their success stories. Liliana Culebro, Junior Aztec Program. Come in front, please.
Thank you. Well, the way that I was transferred to this program was by my probation officer. I didn't go to school. I used to get in a lot of trouble, but joining this program has helped me a lot because finally I graduated school. So, yeah. Thank you. And I'm a star in a community college, and I'm working, so this program does help a lot of young people to come up top. Thank you.
Tony Apodaca, Aztec Fire Crew.
My name is Tony Apodaca, and I was asked to speak today on the regards of my success since joining the Aztec Fire Crew. I want to start off by saying that dreams can come true. It is never too late to start over when given the opportunity. Being a firefighter was once a childhood dream of mine. I can remember I would watch a popular television show called Adam 12 after school, and would always say I want to become a firefighter as I grow up. As I grew up, the dreams becoming a firefighter soon became a fading memory. I started hanging around the wrong crowd and doing the wrong thing. Soon I suffered all the consequences from the type of lifestyle I lived. I found myself as a high school dropout with no vision, discipline, or direction in my life. Not ever thinking of my future, I found myself with no goals or dreams that I would want to achieve, until one day I attended a community event in East Los Angeles, where I was introduced to the Aztec Fire Crew program by the recruiters Israel and Laura. I was interested to see what they had to offer. They told me about the program, and asked me if I wanted a career opportunity. They brought hope back into my life, knowing that I could have an opportunity to make a chance in my life and a difference for others. I then attended the orientation after that, and I knew this is what I want. I was excited knowing to have a chance to succeed with a career that I have always wanted. I joined the program, and since that day, I have a whole new outlook on my life. I have learned a different perspective. On loyalty, and I also have learned about dedication and motivation. I have gained leadership skills and under the value of unity, and I learned the understanding of the value of unity. I also have been able to give back to the community through my commitment of volunteer work, which I enjoy very much. Since I began this program, I have received my high school diploma. I have also completed the basic wildland firefighting academy. I am now the crew boss of Crew 63, and I'm very happy knowing that I am reaching my childhood dream by the opportunity given by me by the Aztec Fire Crew program. I now have a positive outlook on my future goals and look forward of my future career as a wildland firefighter. Thank you all, and I want to thank most of all my God of my understanding, my mom and dad, my family, my girlfriend, the staff of the Aztec Fire Crew, Enrique, Laura, and Israel, the City Council for sponsoring this program, and I would like to also thank my crew, the Aztecs Crew 63. Thank you.
DeAndre Chance, Aztec Fire Crew.
My name is DeAndre Chance, and I really wasn't prepared for this. They asked me to speak, and my crew kept asking me, like, hey, what are you going to talk about? What are you going to say? Do you have anything written down? I said no. I wanted it to come from the heart. I wanted you to know how much I appreciated you guys and what a crew was. What a crew meant to me was unity, respect, and just learning from each other. Like when we was put in leadership position and I got the opportunity to be a leader, I just didn't take that leadership position just to try to be in charge. I took that leadership position to try to learn from my crew, and they came to me and told me what to do and gave me ideas to make myself a better leader. So that's what I learned, and it's a great opportunity for everybody. I just really appreciate these guys. I'm speechless. I thank Enrique for the opportunity just to come up here and speak. And thank you all for giving me this opportunity, and God bless.
Well, I just don't have no other words to say, but our participants in the program said it all pretty much. I just want to thank the funders, which are the council people and Mayor of Los Angeles and the City of Los Angeles that supports programs like this. And finally, again, this program would not be possible without my staff, the great staff. They produce a lot of great outcomes. And just please keep the funding going because we have a lot of kids, we don't have enough people. Okay, so I'm going to have Reyes introduce the chief and the captain. Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. I want to thank our city family. They've put a lot of time into this. It takes a lot of time to come out here. I know we've been at this process for a while, but I would like to ask Captain John Egan and Battalion Chief Timothy Kibrat for a few words.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here today to participate in honoring what I consider to be one of our best partners in trying to make the city of Los Angeles the safest big city in America. Aztecs Rising does so many good things in the community. They're there to provide counseling services, job referrals, tattoo removal program, and this, what we're honoring today, the firefighter training program. I'm glad to be here to honor the young people that have successfully completed this program that teaches them self-esteem, self-respect, self-discipline, and how to guide themselves and be role models in the community so that they can avoid the dangers that exist out there on the streets. It's just a wonderful program, and I really, really want to thank Councilmember Ed Reyes and his staff for facilitating the introduction for myself and my co-family at Rampart to Aztecs Rising. And we consider them to be a great partner. We look forward to working with them in the future, and we're glad to be here celebrating today. Thank you very much.
Battalion Chief Kibrat.
My name is Battalion Chief Kibrat, and I'm here to represent the fire department in our support of the Aztec Fire Crew organization and programs. I'd specifically like to thank Enrique Hurtado for his enthusiasm and his dedication, his mentorship towards clearly making a difference in our community. I'm new to the brush clearance program, but I can tell you I'm looking forward to continuing our relationship and working with the fire crews, specifically in our brush fire program, clearance program. Thank you.
Councilman Hayes, I looked over one youngster who wanted to speak. Oliver Sanchez, please come on up.
Hi, my name is Oliver Sanchez. I come from East LA, and first I want to thank Irma Trevino and Manuel Guerrero and Enrique right here for making this possible for everyone. And if it weren't for them, I probably would have still been in the streets right now. And thanks to them, they taught me how to be proactive, and most important of all, always start with the end in mind.
Wow. Colleagues, thank you for your patience. This has been an incredible experience at many levels. Congratulations, Aztec Rising Class of 2007, signed by myself, Tom LaBonge, Councilmember 4th District, Herb Wesson, Councilmember 10th District, our Council President Garcetti, and Jose Rizar, Councilmember 14th District. Congratulations, and thank you, parents, thank you, family, thank you for all your strong support. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And congratulations to the Aztecs and all of their all the graduates that are here, as well as their supporters. Very proud of you, and thank you for being here and your patience. We have some heroes that we'd like to honor as well, and for that I'd like to recognize Councilmember Bernard Parks of the 8th District to recognize some very patient and heroic men who are here with us today.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask Ms. Perry, Mr. Weston to come up and join me. We have what we think are really some heroes and legends from all over this country, but we're certainly honoring the Tuskegee Airmen under the leadership of Ted Lumpkin, who is the president of the LA chapter. And we'd ask all of them to come up at this time. Right up in here. Just come right up here. That's great, right? Just kind of turn around so the camera can see you. Okay? Thank you very much. Basically, colleagues, we're here today to honor, really a belated honor, that a group of people that not only suffered the ills of war, but also discrimination in their home country. It took 60 years after World War II for Congress to finally award the Tuskegee Airmen the Congressional Gold Medal. The ceremony was held at the Capitol Rotunda, March 29, 2007. Subsequent to that, on May 15th, Yvonne Burke from Supervisors District 2 honored this chapter before the Board of Supervisors and declared May 15th Tuskegee Airmen Day. Just to give you a brief synopsis of some of their accomplishments, that in 1939, Europe was in flames. President Roosevelt declared the United States would be the fortress America, the last bastion of freedom for all people. We were at the brink of war. There was a newly formed Army Air Corps, was quite sure that no black man could learn to fly or even service a combat aircraft. However, the black press, the NAACP, members of Congress, and even the White House disagreed. Under considerable pressure, the War Department relented and undertook what was called the Nobel experiment. It was tacitly considered to be doomed to failure, especially by those who initiated a separate and supposedly equal part of the Army Air Corps, equal in rank but not in privilege. Due to the rigid pattern of racial segregation that prevailed in the United States during World War II, the War Department selected Tuskegee, Alabama for the base site. This site was far away from many centers in the United States. In spite of the lack of official confidence and support, a remote location, 992 pilots were graduated from Tuskegee Army Air Corps Fly School, which also trained and developed some of the support personnel which would ultimately be needed to form combat units. The Nobel experiment resulted in the capabilities of forming a totally segregated unit in the Air Corps: pilots, navigators, bombardiers, gunners, and a myriad number of technicians for ground support. Again, separate but equal was not then governing the status of all the United States military organization. The black Americans served with achievement records equal to or better than the most effective units in the service at that time. 450 of the 992 pilots trained in the Tuskegee Army Air Base flew combat missions in Europe. With the 332nd Fighter Group, the Solo Squadron, the 99th Fighter Squadron in North Africa, and the European invasion flew with the 332nd Fighter Group of the 9th Air Force. Most of the remaining pilots, other officers, enlisted men became personnel in the 477th Bombardier Group, which were not allowed to go into combat, but they fought segregation and discrimination with discipline, dignity, and the highest average IQ in the history of the U.S. military. In the spring of 1945, while fighting a war and also fighting segregation, 162 black officers were arrested for entering the officers' club in their own air base under the command of their own group commander. That act eventually led to the integration of the U.S. military and ultimately a major impact on American society in general. The Tuskegee Airmen won the Silver Star, 150 Flying Crosses, the Legion of Merit, the Red Star of Yugoslavia, and they left 66 of their comrades buried on foreign soil. Fighting the adversity of segregation in the military from inside was an awesome enemy. From the outside, the black armed forces became cohesive, motivated, and a dedicated group, and nearly 30 years of anonymity ended in 1972 with the founding of the Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated. The Tuskegee Airmen is an organization of veteran active duty military personnel and civilians who have two national principles. First, they believe in the democratic principles for which America stands. Secondly, they believe in the youth of this country and are proud that they can play a part in encouraging young Americans to reach for the sky. The Tuskegee Airmen have two main objectives. First, to make it known to the world the historic actions of black airmen during the World War II. In doing this, they also make the world aware of the historic contributions of all black military personnel in all of the many wars and conflicts of our great country. Secondly, they look to the youth for herein the future of America. We're here today to honor them. They're a group of people that we have read about, that we have seen movies about, but rarely have we had a chance to meet them individually or collectively. This is a group of people that just in the sheer numbers of years, at some point we will not have the ability to honor them personally. But we're here today to tell them our thank yous for breaking down the barriers of fighting a war and defending this country while not being able to actually have many of the benefits of living in this country. And it's something that we should never forget, the challenges and also the impact they've made on general society. Before we ask their president, Mr. Lumpkin, to speak, I'd like to ask Jan Perry and then Mr. Wesson to speak, and then we'll have Mr. Lumpkin.
And as she's coming up, Mr. Clerk, will you just call the roll so we can introduce motions?
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. Parks, thank you so much for creating the opportunity to honor these fine gentlemen today. This is a group that is near and dear to my heart. My father and all of his brothers were in the armed services, and my uncle, who is in his 80s and is still living, is a Buffalo Soldier out of Fort Huachuca, and they are about to take a trip early next year with the author of a book who's written about their travels to Italy in a town that they saved during World War II, an African-American regiment. And so it makes me very proud to stand here with these gentlemen. Their story and their history is legend, and they are living history. And I'm grateful for the fact that they're here and still here after this morning. It was kind of long, wasn't it? But they were patient and gracious, and I look forward to hearing their words, because it is these moments where we get to take our friends and the people we care about and create a teaching moment for the young people of this country who may not have had the benefit of understanding the true meaning of why they are where they are today because of gentlemen like the Tuskegee Airmen. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I want to thank Councilmember Parks and Ms. Perry. This is a very important day. Just earlier, Bill, we talked about breaking down or tearing down barriers. That is, in essence, what these individuals that are on my right and left have done. I won't begin to talk about their accomplishments during the mid-40s, because I think Councilmember Parks did a phenomenal job in doing that. But what I do want to say is that it takes a special kind of human being to fight and to love a country that at every step of the way, in almost every segment of their life, shut the door on them. No matter what accomplishments had occurred, no matter how many lives that they have saved, no matter the degree of heroism that they showed, and trust me, they showed great heroism and courage. But because they did what they did, I think that's why you have Miss Perry here and myself here today. I would have included Mr. Parks, but he's a little older, so the reason why we're here today is because of the barriers that these men tore down. Because of them, there was a Colin Powell and an Admiral Brewer that we now have running LAUSD, and even a fictional television character on West Wing, the Joint Chief of Staff.
Don't forget President Palmer now.
And President Palmer on 24, but it's because of the work that they did that I can now go out, get in my car, and go anywhere in this country as long as I have the money. They couldn't do that. They had to stay on certain parts of town. But they did it not so much for them, they did it for us. And I just want each and every one of you to know how greatly appreciative I am. And with that pledge, I will say to you that Bernard, Jan, and I will not embarrass you, nor will we let you down. Your legacy will continue with us and those who follow us. Your shoulders were so broad, we could stand on your shoulders. And trust me, the next generation will be able to stand on our shoulders as well.
Mr. President, Councilman Parks, Councilwoman Perry, and Councilman Weston. We're really honored to get this recognition from the City of Los Angeles. We're honored to have received the gold medal from the President and the Congress of the United States. I don't know. I don't know how many of you were actually at that ceremony. There were 300 of what is known as OTAs. OTAs are original Tuskegee Airmen. They were members of the organization, as Councilman Parks described, between the time of 1941 and 1949. Many of you here were not there at that time. You weren't here on this earth. But we were here. We are really, really honored. At that ceremony, we had the government of the United States in front of us, the President, the Speaker of the House, the Chairman of the Senate, and all of the others, Colin Powell, and 300 of original Tuskegee Airmen, and in addition, many wives and friends and relatives in the Capitol Rotunda. Many of them were in wheelchairs. As you can see, Leroy Chris today, right here in front of you. And it was very emotional. And I think the highlight of it was when the President of the United States saluted the Tuskegee Airmen for the slights and for all of the problems that they had and had not received the reciprocal salutes that they should have received from during their careers. And this, I think, was a real highlight. The Tuskegee Airmen have been formed, or was formed, because what Councilman Parks read to you today was not known. It was not in the history books. No one knew that there were black Air Corps personnel consisting of people from all over the country and functioning in a separate group to defend this country. So in 1972, in Detroit, Michigan, the Tuskegee Airmen was started by a group of, and many of them are from the Los Angeles area. We have Lowell Stewart, we have Oliver Goodall, we have Bill Ellis, and we have others that actually helped to form this organization. We now have more than 51 chapters throughout the country, and those chapters are in every major city in the city of Los Angeles, and they're working similarly to what we're doing here in Los Angeles to promote and to retain the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen. And what we are hoping that that will do is to encourage the young people to meet their Tuskegee and to be competitive, and so that when their Tuskegee comes in their lives, they will pass the test. Correct. I'd just like to introduce some of us who are here. The Los Angeles chapter is a chapter in the city of Los Angeles. We've been here ever since the start of Tuskegee Airmen. We have different kinds of members and memberships, and we have a lot. Some of us are OTAs, and some of us are not. We are interested in trying to promote our legacy, and we're interested in young people and having younger persons join our chapter. I'd like to introduce just a couple of people here. No, not couple, everybody on that's up here on the podium. And let me start with Lou Hill. Where is Lou?
Right behind.
Yeah. Lou Hill is right behind. He is a career Air Force colonel. His rank now is colonel and through the full colonel. And he had seen nearly everything in the Air Force as far as it's concerned. He's had experience everywhere in the Air Forces and also with Northrop. And as a part of the Northrop industry, he has really helped and assisted this chapter to function better. Claude Davis, where is Claude? Yeah. Claude Davis is a B-25 pilot. I should say he's an ex-B-25 pilot. And is in the real estate industry here since the service, and is a member of the Tax Assessor Board for the County of Los Angeles. James Pratt. James Pratt was the sergeant, and where is James? There he is right here. Was the sergeant in the 302 Fighter Squadron, crew chief, and has been a member of our chapter not too long. So it means that we are continually recruiting and continually trying to get people who have been here. Incidentally, there were 15,000 members of the Tuskegee experience. That's from 1941 to 1945. How do we get that, 1949? How do we get that number? This comes about by the fact that for every pilot, it takes 10 ground personnel to keep them going. And for that reason, you can take your math. We had 992 pilots. You multiply that by 10, that comes up to 10,000. And then if you add the others that were replacements and et cetera that occurred, the number comes to about 15,000. Many of those are, well, they're all are up in ages now. Jerry Hodges, where is Jerry? Jerry is also a bomber pilot and was in the 477th. And but more importantly, Jerry is currently the president of the Tuskegee Airmen Foundation. This is a national foundation which works to gain scholarships or grant scholarships to youngsters each year. We are giving 41 scholarships this year, last year, and I think the total amount of scholarships amounts to more than $1 million now. Is that correct over the year? $2 million. $2 million? Yeah, I think it's $1 million of scholarships, but our trust fund, our fund in which we actually produce the interest so that we can give these scholarships, is up to $2 million now, and we're very, very proud of that. So thank you very much, Jerry, for your leadership. Oliver Goodall, most everybody knows Oliver Goodall. He's our public relations officer. He's also a B-25 pilot, and he also flew fighters, too, the P-47. So, Oliver, would you just raise your hand? There he is right here. And everybody knows Oliver. Raymond Walker, where is Raymond? Yeah, Raymond Walker was a tech sergeant in the service, and he told us some stories that while we were waiting for this meeting to get started in the reception room of Councilman Parks about the things that you would like to hear if we had more time. But he was a tech sergeant in the 477 bomb group. Leroy Chris. Leroy Chris was in the 477th bomb group, and you can see how dedicated he is to coming out to this meeting today, even with the difficulty that he has to experience and work with in terms of his wheelchair. Dee Cipher is our photographer, and just to show that we are interested in getting younger people in our organization. She is a member of our chapter and a very good, solid one. Taking the pictures here. Flora Lane. Where's Flora Lane? There's Flora Lane. Now, Flora, I think most of you in on the city council probably know Flora, because everybody in the city of Los Angeles and county Los Angeles government, etc., knows Flora Lane. But she's been an excellent member of our chapter for many, many years. Her husband was a fighter pilot in the 332nd, yes, no question about that. I was trying to remember the specific squadron, but I can't remember that at this time. But Flora has been a very solid and a staunch member of our chapter. And let me see, who?
National Public Relations.
Oh, and then there's Ron Brewington. Ron Brewington is our national public relations officer. We have a national organization, Tuskegee Airmen, and that organization, when it got started in 1972, has had a convention each and every year since that time. And our conventions are held in various cities throughout the United States. And this year it's going to be held in the city of Dallas, Texas, and from August 21st to August 25th of this year. And I guess I'm talking a little bit too long. My name is Ted Lumpkin. I was. Did I have everybody?
You got everybody.
Okay. And I was an intelligence officer for the 100th Fighter Squadron, and we were overseas in Italy during the war. And I just wanted to mention the 100th because I'm very, very proud of that particular squadron. But again, I want to really thank the City of Los Angeles for recognizing. I want to show you the gold medal.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Ooh,
Yeah.
God.
Now this is the. Now I said gold medal. This is not a gold medal. This is a bronze replica of the gold medal. The gold medal that was received and presented to the Tuskegee Airmen in the Rotunda on the 29th of March, 2007 is in the Smithsonian Institution. It is there so that, okay, it'll be there for the public and for research efforts, and we'll be able to look at it, and the public, everybody will be able to see it and know about Tuskegee Airmen. But in terms of it, we have two sides of this medal. I don't know which one is the first one, but on one side it says Tuskegee Airmen, and you'll see three figures there. Those figures represent an enlisted person, an officer, and a pilot. And we had tried to get a female figure on here also, but the U.S. Mint was not able to put it on. But so anyway, we have the representation of it on the front side. It says Tuskegee Airmen, and then there's an eagle underneath that. On the reverse side, we have Act of Congress 2006, and we have three airplanes on there, and with the numbers of 99, 332, and 447. The 99th was represented by the P-40, which is a fighter plane and was one of the first planes that we were used in combat. The 332nd is represented by the P-51, and this plane became the most popular and famous plane that we flew, and was the one that we flew on missions, and particularly the mission that we went from Italy to Berlin and back, which was a very significant mission during World War II at that time. Red Tails, oh yes. That's the other thing about it, is that at that time, we first started flying those planes with when we first went overseas, the planes were camouflage. But then they found out that the painting was too much trouble and all this kind of, so they started flying the planes just plain and simple with just the plain color. And then they got the idea of putting the red tails on them. And so the planes that we became famous for and being known by, the red tails, is because the red tail planes were, the planes of our, that P-51 had the red tail. And we got to the point where pilots from the bombers would really request that the red tails protect them, because they knew they would stay with them and would get them safely there and safely back. And then the 477th is the B-25 airplane, which represents the 477th Bomb Group. And the 477th is the group that was preparing to go to the South in Asia to fight World War II, when we had VJ Day occurred, and as a result, they did not have to go overseas, but they were prepared and ready for everything. In addition, one of the biggest events that occurred in our history was the fact that there was a mutiny of officers at Freeman Field at that time, and those officers, in fact, one of them in our group, Bill Terry, was actually court-martialed. But at one of our conventions, one of the highlights was that he was in 1995. His court-martial was lifted. It was rescinded. So that was a real spectacular event by the President Clinton at the time. Right. I think that's about it. I think the only thing that I can do is that outstanding combat record, inspired, revolutionary reform in the armed forces. Well, thank you very much.
Mr. Rosendahl, while that picture is being taken. And
just want to make a quick comment and salute all those great men. As a veteran of the Vietnam era, your leadership and your pathfinding and your development of access for everybody to the military is greatly appreciated. Your courage that you demonstrated in World War II, and the fact that you are organized today and continuing to tell the public not only what you accomplished in World War II, but it was the breaking down of the civil rights issues of giving African Americans the freedoms and the rights that they should do. I want to give you a salute to every one of you. Bless you all. Thank you.
And Mr. LaBonge.
To Ted and everybody there, I just wanted to stand up and say a lot of love to these gentlemen. These are true American heroes. God love you all.
Thank you very much. If we can run through the agenda, I know we have one more presentation, but if we can run through the agenda as we are close to losing quorum. First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Perry moves. I second. Without objection, those will be approved. Next items, please.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Smith moves and Mr. Rosendahl seconds. Without objection, that too will be approved. First items, please.
On the regular agenda, items 1 through 12 are street lighting district items. Notice for public hearing. Council should continue the hearings and ordinances to July 20th.
All right. If there's no objection, we will go ahead and open that and continue them till the 20th. That's items 1 through 12. Seeing no objection, so ordered. Next items, please.
Items 13 through 16 are annual sidewalk assessments in various districts. Notice for public hearing. Council should close the hearings and confirm the assessments.
Okay. We'll close the hearings on those. And without objection, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those assessments will go forward. Next items, please.
Item 17 is a public convenience and necessity item in Council District 10. The recommendation is to grant the application.
Okay. Mr. Wesson moves that. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 18 is a public convenience and necessity item in Council District 9, and the recommendation is also to grant the application.
Ms. Perry? Moves? No. Okay. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next items, please.
Items 19 through 27 are items for which public hearings have been held. Reports have been submitted on items 20 through 24, and item 19 was continued in committee.
Okay.
And I believe there's a request to continue that for 2 weeks.
Okay. Is there any objection to continuing 19 for 2 weeks? Anything on 19? If not, we'll go ahead. That will take us to July 13th on that item. Specials, Mr. Smith and then Ms. Perry.
25 be continued to the 25th.
Okay. If there's any objection until the 25th of that's of July? Yep. Without objection, so ordered. Can't do it last week. Ms. Perry.
Item 20 on behalf of Mr. Parks to be referred back to Budget and Finance.
Okay. If there's no objection to sending that, it actually was in HCED, so was that it? That was a move to refer it to Budget and Finance for the first time? Is that correct? Okay. If there's no objection, we will refer that to Budget and Finance, item number 20. No other items to call special. Please open the roll on the balance, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 28 through 34 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay. Go ahead and open and close the public hearings, except for items 31, which we have a card from the public. Ms. Brewer, are you out in Van Nuys? If we can take that public comment on 31. Thank you for your patience.
Comment on, and then
No.
Go ahead. Hold on one second. We're just about to lose quorum. Ms. Brewer, if you just go ahead with your comments, and then we'll come back.
Okay, this is on item number 31, special event fee waivers. For today, we have 15 total. 3 reimbursed, 12 with total $77,990. One of the events is $35,000 for the 5th annual Emmy Awards. According to the motion, they expect 10,000 people. If you do the math, that would be $3.50 that each person attending could pay, and we wouldn't have to waive $35,000. The total for June is 150 items, 131 with amount $786,776. Reimbursed 16, no amount for 3. The total for the 2 months for May and June are 284 items, 237 with amounts totaling $1,417,307. 10 no amounts submitted, and 37 reimbursed. That's a lot of money for just 2 months. If that's the average, we can take and multiply that to where you're probably waiving probably $3 or $4 million in a year. I did put in a card for public comment, so I hope I'll be able to do that.
Yes, we're going to try to get to public comment after we do presentation and vote on these consent items. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Brewer. Let's go ahead. We have a card on 34. Let's call that special. On the others, let's please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
If we can please call the roll on the special meeting after recessing the regular one. Mr. Clerk?
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Weston, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First items, please.
Items 35 through 39 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. Items 35 and 36 are commission appointments. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Anybody like to call those special? Not? I know we have a card. We have a card on number 35. That is called special for card from the public. If not, we'll take the others. Please open the roll on 36 through 39. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. If we can continue the special meeting back into the regular meeting, and I'd like to recognize Mr. LaBonge for our last presentation. And thank you very much for your patience.
It's been a very good morning with a lot of great presentations as we had here, and we have a very special one for a young person here. Chloe Grissom. Give her a big hand right now. Will you please, right now there? Kenny, hit the tape right now. You're going to watch this young person who has the distinction of honor being recognized by Newsweek for your short film on Los Angeles, My Life, and her school.
Gamins oubliés, égarés, donne-leur la main pour les mener vers d'autres landes. Donne-leur la main pour les mener vers d'autres landes. Sans cœur, la nuit de sentier de gloire, la vie de la vie, sentier de gloire, sentier de bonheurs enfantins.
Whenever I'm asked, what school do you go to? I'm proud to say, I go to the Lycée International de Los Angeles, Lila. Chaque fois qu'on me demande, à quelle école vas-tu? Je suis fière de dire, je vais au Lycée International de Los Angeles, Lila. Lila is a small school with a small population. That's part of what makes it so special. Lila est une petite école avec une petite population. C'est en partie ce que la rend si spéciale. I've been at Lila since kindergarten. In the 10 years I've been there, I realized Lila isn't just a school. It's a community. It's a community of kids from pre-K through high school. Of classmates old and new. Of teachers and staff. Of parents. Je suis au Lila depuis la maternelle. Dans les 10 ans que j'ai passé ici, je me suis rendu compte que Lila n'est pas seulement une école. C'est une communauté. Une communauté d'enfants de la maternelle jusqu'au lycée. D'anciens et de nouveaux camarades. De professeurs et du personnel, des parents. It's a small community, maybe. One where everyone knows everyone's business. But that's what makes our Lila bubble. That's what makes Lila, Lila. C'est une petite communauté peut-être. Une où tout le monde est au courant des affaires des autres. Mais ça, c'est ce qui fait notre cocon de Lila. C'est ce qui fait Lila, Lila. We've been through the good times. We've been through the bad. We've been through the disgusting. And we've definitely been through the funny. On a vécu des bons moments. On est passé par des mauvais. On a vu des dégoûtants. Et on a surtout apprécié des drôles. This is our school. Our bubble. Our Lila. Ça, c'est notre école. Notre cocon. Notre Lila.
Right there, Chloe put that together and was recognized by Newsweek magazine, and I didn't want to let the school year in without recognizing her. Lila is a very, very important school in our community in Southern California. Give Ms. Grissom a big hand right now.
Well, when I made this little film, I really didn't expect so much to be made of it. So, thank you for the honor.
Oh, your film speaks beautifully. Well, people understand. Also, their principal is here today, Elizabeth Chaparrot. Did I say that correctly?
Close enough.
Close enough.
I just want to thank you, Councilman Labange, for your support of the school today and many other days, and for inviting us to this wonderful day in which you've celebrated all sorts of diversity. We've saluted our history, local diversity, and I think somehow we fit pretty well in that, because that is our battle cry every day. So thank you so much for letting us be a part of this day.
Well, thank you so much. It was very nice there. We thank the parents, the beautiful parents, and all the family here. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Labange, and thank you again to the school and your patience. We know we had a lot of presentations this morning, but we appreciate your patience, and it's an honor to have you here. We'll turn to public comment. I'm sorry, 35, the card has been withdrawn. Thank you, sir. We will go ahead and open the roll on 35. close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved, and congratulations, Mr. Nahai, and thank you, too, for your patience and your extraordinary service. We'll return to public comment now. Douglas Haxel is our first speaker, and thank you for your patience as well, and good to have you here. Next, after that, will be Sean Floyd.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, honorable council members. The flag is down from the podium, but there's a flag over there. It was a beautiful day, and I really just want to personally thank the City Council for recognizing Gay Pride today and making such a beautiful effort to show the community our voice. And also, it was a beautiful day. The Tuskegee Airmen and the junior firefighters. Overall, it's been a beautiful day here. I want to thank the council also. The organization that I'm with is called Out for Immigration, and we're an organization that works for immigration rights for gays and lesbians. A lot of people don't realize that an American citizen or permanent resident is not allowed to sponsor their partner to live with them here in the United States. And when we talk about gay rights coming a long way, we still have one fundamental, very deep problem, which is that some of us still don't even have the right to live together. So we do, in fact, still have a long way to go. But I want to thank this City Council, because this City Council 2 years ago is the largest City Council of the largest city in the country that voted 15-0 to back the legislation we have in Congress, thanks to Councilman Garcetti's efforts, the Uniting American Families Act. 15-0 they voted to endorse that legislation, and I want to thank you guys again. Thank you guys. Thank you, Council President Garcetti and the Council for this day and for that resolution, and we're still here fighting.
Thank you, and we're alongside there with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Haxel. Sean Floyd is our next speaker, and thank you, too, for your patience, sir. After that, we'll go out to Van Nuys for Sharon Brewer.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. President, City Council. What I'm here for today is to ask if it's possible if Council could join me in maybe asking Congress drafting an emergency spending bill about $3 billion to maybe $15 billion. And the reason why I'm asking for that is that of the CEDARS program, and I know you guys are familiar with the CEDARS program. If we utilize our Social Security numbers, we'll be able to amass the type of protection that the CEDARS program can offer us, and utilize that money, utilize the interest off of that money to fund projects throughout the country, okay? Especially starting here in Los Angeles, because we have the King situation, we have transportation, so a lot of things that we could possibly do with funding from the government and show ourselves to be fiscally responsible by utilizing the interests and protecting the principal. So I have some copies of what I plan to introduce or...
Thank you. We'll make sure the Sergeant at Arms takes that.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to say that we can be a very resourceful country if we choose to be so or do so. And I think we're headed on the right track. And if this is given an opportunity to make it, I think we can change a whole lot of lives here in this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Our next speaker is Sharon Brewer in Van Nuys. After that will be Felisa Ford.
Hi, Sharon Brewer, Encino Neighborhood Council, June 28th election, the day after. On Wednesday, June 27th, Encino Neighborhood Council voted to approve election procedures with amendment that the NC understands and accepts that the final official certified canvass will be delayed and the challenge period will not start until the vote by mail ballots are identified and counted as part of the final official certified canvass. Discussion followed with one board member telling the board that according to the NC election procedures approved by City Council in 2005 that Encino must approve the election procedures no later than 60 days before the election. That date was April 30th. The board voted on approving the election procedures. Vote was 15 yes, 1 no. Out of the 15 yes votes, 7 were on the ballot. The 1 no vote was also on the ballot. The discussion and vote about approving election procedures was done in front of the Dunn Project coordinator. By the way, there were no Encino 2007 Dunn approved election procedures handed out to the 16 board members. Once again, Encino NC board members voted to approve a document 17 or 27 pages, the Encino election procedures, without being provided copies, meaning that they had no clue what they were approving since there were 4 different Encino election procedures out. Why didn't the Dunn project coordinator or the ENC election chair provide copies of the election procedures to the board members and the public for review prior to the vote? I have requested numerous times by email something in writing from Dunn justifying allowing Encino's election to take place. I still have received nothing, and as far as I know, Encino board members have not received anything in writing. Dunn allowing Encino to approve their election procedures less than 24 hours before their election is a clear violation of the NC election procedures approved by the City Council on January 25, 2005, and will no doubt cause major problems for Dunn with regards to demanding that NCs must follow these procedures. Encino's election took place yesterday. Unofficial results, all 9 current board members were reelected, and the vote by mail ballots were counted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Brewer. Our next speaker is Ms. Ford. Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience.
Hi, Felicia Ford, president of the Woodlawn Memorial Park Foundation. I didn't think I'd have to come back down here. I haven't been here in a while, and I am having some problems in my life, and it's all behind helping the Woodlawn Cemetery family members. There are some powerful people that have been trying to self-destruct my life for a very long time, and I have not said anything, but I'm going to speak today. Over the next couple of weeks, I will be speaking publicly here to share some things with you, and it may not please individuals as to what I'm going to say. First of all, there is a judge by the name of Deidre Hill, and she is an Inglewood court judge, and she has been disrupting my life. Her mother is the former Senator Teresa Hughes. Her mother has a vendetta against me. It's all behind the cemetery matter. There's a lot to say, but in a very short period
Mr. President, I don't believe she's speaking on anything that's within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City of Los Angeles.
We went there once before, and I checked with your clerk's office, and I was told that I can come down here and speak. This is the land of the free, and you cannot tell me how to speak. Now, I want to say before I leave, you should have addressed the Tuskegee Airmen first. This world is so unbalanced. You had a full audience here, and the applause should have stood for them. So, sir, with all due respect, please, I have been through a lot, and there's nobody in this government. Your politicians never came and helped me when these family members fell to their knees in grief.
She's still not within the subject matter jurisdiction.
Okay.
Well,
please
let's
continue
have
your
order
comments.
here and tell me.
Please
because-
continue your comments.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Mr. Garcetti. You're very respectful. And I want to say here, I don't want that to happen again with your city attorney. He's very disrespectful. You cannot rock my world. But let me tell you something. I am a child of God, and he says don't ever offend his children. And I say that I will be back in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Our next speaker is Daniel Charles Hanley. Excuse me. After that, we'll have Zuma Dog. Good afternoon, sir. Yes, right at the podium. Thank you.
Well, check. Anyway, my name's Dan. There's a problem in the city of Los Angeles I think the council members really need to understand. I would even call it a scourge or a plague. I ran for mayor about 7 years ago to get rid of all parking meters, pay toilets, and promote my band. And I met Antonio Verragosa when I was on the street doing my music. He actually gave me $3 for doing my street musician work. Actually voted for him. I think he's doing a pretty good job. But the point here is that you go around America and there's street musicians in the subways. And it's a wonderful thing. You see people's faces smiling. You see the children smiling. If I bring out my guitar in a subway, they will ticket you. They'll cite you. It's illegal for some reason. Now, this day has all been about diversity and community and coming together. Where there is no music, the souls kind of slither away kind of thing, you know? This is bad. I mean, it's not the greatest speech, whatever. But you see what I'm saying here. I mean, there should be music in our subways. It's traditional. And I don't understand why it is illegal to play street musicians to play in the subways. It's a wonderful place. I think it would bring our community together. And, this aggression will not stand, man. This is a valued point here, I think. I think it's aggression against street musicians, you know? Anyway, so that's just my little comment for the day, and guys, keep up the good work. The dude abides. Peace, and please look into this issue. Antonio did tell me when I met him that, you know, with I'm being a little dramatic here, obviously, being a street musician, being a performer, but it is a serious issue. You know, I mean, I'm trying to get my point across as a performer, but in all seriousness, the council should look into this and ask why is it. And I would love to hear any kind of comment on why musicians aren't allowed to play in the subway. So,
thank you very much. We
Dude
appreciate
abides.
it. And thank you for your patience as well. Zuma Dog is our next speaker. After that is Candido Maras. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. First of all, I am shocked. Did this man just say that Antonio Villagrosa made a campaign promise to this man and didn't keep it? Oh, my goodness. I'm absolutely flabbergasted. I was walking downtown today to the courthouse on the streets of downtown, and I noticed a massive skyscraper project being built. And there were a bunch of union workers, construction workers, standing outside with signs. And I said, what's going on? He goes, they're using non-union workers for this skyscraper here in downtown. I said, what? You can use non-union workers to build a building in the city of Los Angeles? Doesn't that sound a little unsafe? What do we have unions for? So people are trained properly, so that there's accountability, so that we can say, yes, we have unionized people, trained specialists, with all the laws and rules in place for safety and accountability. And you got non-union people. How do we know what their training was? And secondly, now you have all the unionized construction workers standing outside without jobs saying, excuse me, city council's raising our trash collection fees. They're raising our bulky item fees. They're taxing us for infrastructure. They're raising all our taxes. But now we can't go out and do our jobs because the city is, the projects are hiring non-union workers. And I'm told that most of them would not have documentation and do not pay into the tax system. So thank you. I'd like to see, can anybody here make a motion? All planning projects that you approve must be used with unionized workers. A security guy came up to me and was listening, and he's like, boy, you think that's a secret? This happens all the time. So, to me, that's nuts. I'd like to see a motion. These buildings, when you give them approvals, of course they have to be unionized. Well, you're going to have some kind of terrorist that just flies in off the plane from Al-Qaeda, say, I'm going to help build your buildings. Nobody's checking the permits. Nobody's checking ID. I think that's terrible. Jack Weiss, please do something about it. And I'd like to say, Dion O'Connell, I'd like to say about Dion O'Connell, that lady's absolutely right. He sits here, he interrupts, he doesn't know the law. I'd like to see some documentation, Dion O'Connell, of the things that you say I can't ask questions. You are allowed to ask questions. Can I see documentation of the rules, please?
Thank you. We're happy to get you a copy. Our next speaker is Candido Maras. We'll get you a copy. Candido Maras is our next. And then Walter Bechtel.
Thank you, Mr. President, council members. I just wanted to repeat something this lady said. You wasted an opportunity to share one of this country's greatest treasures. The Tuskegee, I apologize if I can't say, Airmen. We had a captive crowd here. You had a bunch of young people who were out there trying to learn how to fight fires. They should have heard about these people, these men. These men are a treasure, and I hope that we never do that to them again, that we honor them by having them come first, because they deserve that. I also want to make a quick comment about Mr. Nahai. When you look up the word integrity, you would find Mr. Nahai's name right after that. He is a man of great integrity. He is going to be appointed for up until 2012. He has a great chance to change the department forever for the right reasons, to give it back to the people of this great city. There are a lot of things that need to be improved there, and I believe he's the man that can do it. So congratulations on that appointment.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your patience. Walter Bechtel is our final speaker for general public comment. Welcome, Mr. Bechtel.
Hi. I just wanted to clarify something to the Jewish people in this room and to the community out there. My people have oftentimes are historically noted for assisting the Jewish people. My uncle, Colonel Reginald Barlow, is the most famous person to assist the Jewish people. And I just wanted to clarify the fact that, in my opinion, the reason for this business with the refusal to recognize the Holocaust is in part due to a problem that I'm having with with people refusing to recognize intellectual property theft and things that's going on with the copyright lawyers and other persons. In my opinion, if things like what are happening to me? Are you going to refuse that, to recognize that to be an existent thing? Then that only fuels the fire for these people to do that kind of stuff to you. So I would appreciate, I appreciate Mr. Lou Pearlman being handed over. I would appreciate your community to continue to hand over to the authorities other persons involved with that intellectual property theft, including lawyers and performers. And that's all I have to say in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bechtel. Closes our general public comment. We have one item left. Is that right, Mr. Clerk? 34?
Item 34,
Okay,
call special for a card from the public.
We have a card, Mr. Zumadog. Is he here? Mr. Dog, looks like he has left. So we'll go ahead and open the roll on that item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next order of business. Everything will be forthwith today without objection, as it's the last day of the fiscal year, colleagues. So we will make sure that's sent out. Next order of business, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
Announcements, colleagues. For Mr. Weezar, I'd like to announce two events that are upcoming in Council District 14. One is a concert and fireworks show at Evergreen Recreation Center. That's at 2844 East 1st Street, Saturday, June 30th, 2007, from 6 to 9, this Saturday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., a concert and fireworks show at Evergreen Recreation Center. It's the first annual concert and fireworks show at Evergreen Park, sponsored by Council District 14, and there'll be a live fireworks display co-sponsored by Rec and Parks and local nonprofits. And it's his hope to bring back a traditional annual Independence Day celebration at Evergreen Park that was last celebrated in 1972. So come on out and support the community of Boyle Heights this Saturday. About 3,000 plus people are expected to attend, and the entertainment will include the East Los Angeles College Latin Jazz Ensemble, Gilbert Moret and Chico Band, cumbias and boleros, Elisa Chacon as a soloist doing traditional ranchera music, and Sabor Latino doing tropical music, tropical. Secondly, in Hazard Recreation Center on Friday night, that is tonight through Sunday, there's an Independence Day Festival that is happening. That's at 2230 Norfolk Street. Please join Council District 14 for a 3-day Independence Day Festival at Hazard Park with carnival rides, live music, food, games, and a fireworks show on Sunday night. Admission is free and is co-sponsored by CD14 and Rec and Parks. So bring the family and enjoy the fun and have a safe Independence Day weekend. On that note, we would like to remind folks that there are a number of free fireworks shows as we go into this next week, and that use of fireworks in the city of Los Angeles is illegal by private individuals, and that is something that we will be doing as our utmost to enforce. But please remind folks of the danger of using fireworks. Each year we have people who are injured by the illegal use of fireworks, and that is not permitted in the city. Mr. LaBonge?
Quick, I wanted to salute John Harbian. John, give me your hand right there. John has done a great job for the Office of Public Safety, for the mayor. He's a great graduate of Loyola and at Yale, and he's going off to Stanford Law School. Give John a big hand there. I'm giving this to him right there. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
Mr. Rosendahl?
Stoner Maintenance Yard on Stoner Avenue, right in West LA, near Olympic. 10:30 tomorrow morning. A whole recycling discussion. Parents come with their kids. There's food. They ride on the garbage trucks. It's a lot of fun. We expect 700 people to be in West LA at the Stoner Maintenance Yard this Saturday at 10:30. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other announcements? Mr. Parks, any announcements?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a couple of announcements. One, on June the 30th, this Saturday, the 8th District is sponsoring the first annual Leimert Park Book Festival. It will start at 10 a.m. In the parking lot behind the Vision Theater, and will go to 7 p.m. And we'll have over 200 artists, about 70 authors there to basically display their books, and we'd encourage the public to come out. Also, on July 4th, and we certainly appreciate your comments, Mr. President, Jan Perry and I were at a news conference asking the public not to buy illegal fireworks nor to display them for July 4th, and that we are, as a city, Ed Reyes, CD1, Jan Perry, CD9, Jan Hahn, CD15, Herb Weston, CD10, and myself and CD8 are sponsoring a fireworks show at the Coliseum. Starts at dusk, and that's at 3900 South Figueroa. We'd encourage the public to come out and participate, be it on the south lawn of the museums or Christmas Tree Lane on the east part of the Coliseum, and it would be approximately a 1-hour show. Also, on July 4th, the 5th annual Jazz Festival in Leimert Park will start at 1 o'clock to 7, and it also will be in the Vision Theater parking lot at 43rd and Degnan.
Thank you. Are there any other announcements, colleagues? Seeing none, this is the end of this 2-year session of council. We will begin our next session on Tuesday at 10 a.m. here in council chambers. Look forward to seeing you all there. We will not be doing adjourning motions today due to loss of quorum, but have a great weekend, and we'll see everybody here at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, July 3rd, 2007, for the beginning of our next 2-year session of the Los Angeles City Council. This meeting is adjourned.